Let me just ask you one thing. The band has been working non-stop for, what is it, 4 years?
Yes.
Did it wreak havoc with your personal life?
Well, no, not really. I mean, well, in a sense, it did relinquish a lot of ties at home. I mean, you're leaving, you're putting your stuff in your suitcase and you're gone. My family's very supportive, and because of that reason, I always, thank God for Ma Bell, because you could always keep in touch.
Does that work though, or does it just make it more?
I was talking to a couple of people, like they find to keep relationships going and stuff like that, and even with families, if you call every day or try to call every day, at least you're not out of sight, out of mind, and that always helped me to keep my sanity from being away, from people I know and love.
It doesn't really work to bring somebody with you on the road, does it?
Occasionally, it doesn't hurt, It's
but I mean full time.
no, it's very hard. I mean, it's hard for the other person. Maybe they have a career, or something else, and have their own life, and it's hard to live underfoot or under a shadow of somebody else. I mean, for me, I love having somebody out with me, but my girlfriend or something. But it's like most of the time you have to do it with your bandmates. It's like that's your family. You created the situation, and you want to end up living with it. And under our situations, very happily.
There's been so much made about Bon Jovi really being like a gang, and they all really liking each other.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Each other and not taking separate cars to the gigs and stuff like that. Like really a lot of bands do. Do you see the possibility that now that you've made it in such an extraordinary way, that would affect it in any way other than to make you closer? I mean, sometimes bands get very successful and then they break up.
Yeah.
Because it's like that whole thing was like getting there.
Right.
And once you're there.
It's a different plateau. I could see that. No, I think if anything, we've grown closer. Because I mean, when you're together and you're sharing, out of necessity, one room, and now you have all your own rooms. I mean, it hasn't changed just one bit. I don't think. As far as attitude, egos, it's something we've always had since we started. You need that to progress.
What do you mean, attitude, ego?
As a lot of people say, oh, you got to get successful, this and that. Egos break up bands. We use our egos on as a positive source. Instead of like ripping ourselves apart, we use it to go out there and win out that audience and really grab as many people as you can, because you need that ego to do that.
Do you think there was undue interest for a while on just Jon, and now that's changing a bit?
Well,
more of your personalities.
Yeah, we're coming out, but that's only natural. I mean, Jon being named after Jon, and also being the focal point, and even if a singer isn't quote unquote, if it doesn't say the singer's name, it's still the focal point, and that person has to put up with most of the pressures and most of the rigmarole that goes with being in this kind of business. I mean, you're naturally going to get approached first with the questions, and Jon's always been, even in the band, as our focal point. You need somebody at the helm. You need the captain, you need the co-captain, you know what I'm saying? So it's always worked out okay, and that never really bothers us.
What do you think it is that's so unique about Bon Jovi?
I think the fact that we get along so well together is unique in itself. I've never met a band, I've never worked with a band that everybody, 5 people get along. And even, Really, and I'll even extend it to the crews and stuff. We make everybody pretty much comfortable around us. We try to get as close to the people as we can, as possible. And becoming more successful, it's a little bit harder. But we still, when we play live, it's there. You could see the touch between audience and band. And we heard up there, if our equipment's going down, we try to compensate. For any reason, we try to compensate to make a great show. And if we don't, we hurt. We letting the people down. So we let ourselves down, and that's what keeps us close together. We really care still.
About each other.
About each other, about the music, about the fans, about the reason why there is a Bon Jovi.
But I think probably a lot of musicians really care about what they're doing and their fans and so forth.
Most do,
Why
yes.
do you think Bon Jovi just took off like this?
I don't know. I think maybe the day Wonder Bread was invented, or white bread, and it was like, and peanut butter had to go on that, and then jelly, and it's just like it was the American way, and it was, and like, we're not preachers. We don't preach anything but a good time. We're not political. We're not going after false votes or anything like that. All we want to do is, when you hear Bon Jovi live or on a record, is we want to take you away from. If you have a problem, we want to take you away from it. If you don't, we want to make you happy. But that's the main reason why musicians play anyway. They're entertainers.
You keep saying you're not political, but you also, the people that you, well, I know Jon in particular, I don't know if it's the same for you, but he has told me that he idolizes people like Little Steven.
Yes.
Bono he likes, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty. These are all people who have taken very strong stands on various political causes. Does that affect the way you think really about Bon Jovi? I mean, you do things for charity. He has done things against drugs.
Yeah, but those are positive things. Those are things that, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of kids out on drugs that shouldn't be on them, that can't handle them, and it's just killing the society, and the people are growing up. It's not helping our music.
There are a lot of stars that would say they don't want to come out and say that because they don't want to get involved in that, or they don't want to preach to people.
Well, I think they're going to listen. Kids are going to listen to us, because with drugs, there's always a music, and there's always a radio, and there's always a TV, and it's a party thing, and that has to do with music and entertainment. So I think most people will listen because we are entertainers and they respect our word.
Yeah, but you don't think that's political?
A
little bit.
A little bit, I guess, but it's more. I think a more positive vibe towards.
It's not like coming out to something in Central America.
No, I mean, it's hard to save the world, it is. It's hard to save anything, I could see you saving one child at a time, but it's the only way it really works, in my opinion. But it's good to unite the people's ideas and hearts.
How do you see Bon Jovi growing? I mean, do you think that there may come a point where, just through your own evolution, you will feel you want to take a stand on something, or you will feel like, okay, we know we can entertain these people. We've gotten older, we've matured, we see things that are happening, we may want to speak out on them, our audience is growing with us. I mean, how are you challenged about the future?
Well, depending on what challenges you, I think that's very evident. I could, being in a position where you are growing, you've got to a point where what you say really counts. And in other words, people will listen. Mm-hmm. It's really important to use it correctly.
Do you think that you all started wanting to be this big? I mean, nobody really starts thinking that they're going to stay, that they want to stay in like local bar bands.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does that.
I think everybody gets on stage wants to be as big as the Beatles.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like when you were playing in whatever band it was when you first got together
mm-hmm.
with Jon, what was it?
Frankie the Knockouts. Yeah.
Didn't Mike Kleffner have something?
Michael Kleffner managed the band, yes.
That's right. Anyway. What were your dreams? This? Now?
Well,
not this big.
It was my dreams then. It was like any musician. I want to play the Garden. I want to play here. I want to play in front of many people. I want to have #1 singles. That's every kid's dream. You never know if you're going to get there, but all you do is keep trying.
So now you got there.
Now you got there, and I still want to try.
What's next?
Just the longevity, I think, is next.
Just to prove that this isn't like Black Oak, Arkansas or something, you know what I mean?
Well, longevity even for myself, I love playing. I'll probably end up dying with sticks in my hand.
Really?
And it's something that I'll never stop doing. I didn't just do this to become, per se, a rock and roll star or, a well-known personality or anything like that. I did it because I love music. And it's like if you're used to eating fish, you're not going to stop eating fish because all of a sudden you own a fish restaurant,
I get a little tired of it.
Yeah, a little, yeah. But
what kind of music did you like?
Oh, I like all kinds.
But when you were growing up, like, what did you listen to?
Jimi Hendrix and Sly and the Family Stone, The Doors. Always loved jazz too. For a while there,
What kind of jazz?
Well, like Mitch Mitchell would play jazz drums in Jimi Hendrix's band, and I'd go, wow. I really dig that, but I don't understand it.
Now, what does that mean, jazz drums? Because people always said that to me about Charlie Watts, too, in a way, that he was more of a jazz drummer.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the feels.
Not like Art Blakey or Buddy Rich.
Yeah, or Elvin Jones, but he does play with that flair of almost playing a song within a song and not just keeping time, you know. And yeah, Charlie Watts is another one. Ringo, and in the other sense, his simplicity is genius. I always loved the way he played, you know. But I always said, "Wow, what is that jazz?" And I kept listening. First record I ever bought was a Dave Burns record. He's a gentleman's from New Jersey, a trumpet player, and I listened to that, and I kept getting into it, and finally I ended up buying every record there is I can get my hands on. You know, from rock to heavy jazz to Coltrane to Miles Davis.
How old were you?
16, 17 years
How
old.
old are you now?
33.
So this was like what? This is like 16 years ago. This is 1971?
Yeah, 70, 71,
Really
69. No, well,
wasn't very fashionable.
my mother met a gentleman who was a jazz drummer, and they've been together ever since.
Wow.
And he was a jazz drummer in the 40s. And that sparked my interest, too. He gave me a 1938 Slingerland snare drum. And, of course, turned me on to jazz a lot.
Do you think people don't really understand what's involved with drumming? That they just think, as you said, it's keeping time?
Yeah, well, it also keeps the ulcers away, you know.
What do you mean?
Well, you beat them, you know, you get all the anxiety out, and, you know, it's sort of like you get it out of your system. I always say, if you have nervous people and stuff like that, says get yourself a drum.
Are you serious?
Beat on, yeah, it's very therapeutic. Beat on that. You know, people tap their feet, they're banging on this, they punch walls when they're in. That, to me, that's rhythmic.
Do you smoke?
I used to.
You don't
I
anymore?
smoked all my life, and I just quit
You did? How long?
about 3 months ago.
I
Yeah.
quit a year and 2 months ago, and I still want a cigarette.
I love them. I mean, I cheat by smoking cigars here and there. You know.
But see, you still smoked all the time when you were playing drums. So
Yeah.
You didn't get all of it out.
Well, you know, you go see an artist playing, and I learned how to smoke and play at the same time. You know, it's the thing to do in the club.
How
Yeah.
did you do that? You just like...
I just left it out of your mouth. Yeah, yeah. He says, I see Elvin Jones used to do it, and I said, well, I'm going to do that.
Are there any things that you want to do that you think you can't do within Bon Jovi?
Within
You're
Bon
just talking about
Jovi,
all this jazz stuff. I mean, is there some kind of other record you would like just for fun love to play on?
that'll eventually happen as well. You know, I've done a lot of records on before Bon Jovi and a lot of different things, and this just makes it more accessible to the public doing it instead of just to go to sell 10,000 copies, you know, to an occult group and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, I want to play all kinds of music. You know, I love Afro rhythms and Latin. You know, and I love putting all the connotations and making them part of Bon Jovi too. So Bon Jovi will always be the nucleus, and there could always be branches that come from that.
How'd your life change with the success? I mean, financially, in terms of whatever comforts, or haven't you really had a chance to change?
Really haven't had a
down
chance
the
to
road?
slow down to even see it or notice it.
You all laughing about Elvis's choice of furniture in Graceland.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you all have like huge mansions or something. What would you
No,
do?
no,
I mean, if you
I
could.
couldn't personally.
No?
No, I mean, what I do, you know, and I mean, if I need a bedroom, I need a huge basement where I can have friends come over and play. I need a great kitchen and a family living room, that kind of vibe, a good place to barbecue. I don't need a palatial delight because I get lost in it. First of all, you have to furnish it, and if you don't live in it, in those certain rooms, I'd be like lost, you know.
You cook?
Yeah, I love to
Is
cook.
that why you want a big kitchen?
Sure.
You like to cook?
Oh, I love cooking everything, especially breakfast.
Really?
Yeah, breakfast is my specialty.
What are your hours like when you're not on the road? I mean, what do you do? What?
I forgot.
So,
I forgot.
I mean,
Well, we got about 7 days coming up.
7 days old.
Yeah,
Do you
7
get
days.
tired of all of this touring now? Really? I mean, I know you love playing, but all the other stuff that goes on.
Well, I think, you know, people say, is this work or is this fun? Well, the fun part is playing and meeting people and the whole facade that goes around it. The hard part is waiting 23, 20 hours to get on stage. It's the traveling. It's the rooms. It's, you know, it's going through kitchens and never seeing a lobby and not being able to go to the bar. But you're actually working. That's your travel. To me, that's the work. But when you get on stage, that's the fun.
But it's a year since this really happened, right? I mean, last year at this time, you didn't have to go through the kitchens, and you could still go in the bar, no?
Yes, correct. Certain areas. Certain areas.
Now, when you were dreaming of playing Madison Square Garden and having a #1 single and all of that, were you aware of the reality of having to go through the kitchens and not being able to go to the bars? I mean,
Yes,
sure,
I
you
was.
knew about that stuff, didn't you? I
Yeah,
mean, you've been in enough other bands and been around to know.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Bob Bonus, used to road manage for the Beatles, and he used to tell me some great stories. And he also, I met him through Frankie and the Knockouts, and managed me as well for the latter part of that. And boy, the stories on how things were done. Garbage trucks rented and renovated inside to carry the band in, and how, 8 days a week was written over a Monopoly game in the back of the bus. Some great stories. I mean, but this is all stuff that he's like a history book, so I was very attentive.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sure, I love that part of it too.
You do?
Yeah, sure.
Does it feel like you feel more of a star with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the attention. I don't know if the star is the right word, but I guess it is. But it's just the attention that people really care to want to see you, meet you, touch you, and you try to give that back through a performance or music. That $15, $16 ticket in the back of the arena. I want that lady or gentleman to feel just as overwhelmed as the people up front.
What do you think made the change? Do you think it was having a tremendous number of female fans really pick up on the band?
Well, I think the female fans were evident because, I mean, it's 5 guys and we're not really ugly, but the band was never put out to be pretty boys or anything like that.
But what is wrong? I'm not talking about pretty boys, but rock and roll has so traditionally always been about people thinking people are cute. I mean, they thought that was
Yeah.
Beatles, they thought that
Well,
was
I think
Stones, they
that's,
thought that was
yeah.
so many bands.
Well, I thought that
why?
was a success with the women, I mean, they
Yeah.
figured,
But I
because
mean,
the
it
natural
seems like so many things that I've read, especially that John said, is like, oh, we don't want to be thought of as pretty, we don't want pretty, we're not selling pretty.
You could go overboard because
No,
then you
they're
see
too
yourself
defensive about it.
you see yourself on every cover of every teen magazine and things like that where, like Rick Springfield was always trying to ward that off being on daytime operas and stuff. I mean, soap operas.
That's right.
And
Watching
the
soap
poor guy, his audiences were ranged from 12 to 15, 14. And that was it. And he tried to do something serious. So, I mean, you look at that in a way and you go, okay, well, you don't want to go that far. So don't really play it up too much.
Right.
So that's the only thing.
Do you watch soap operas ever when you're on the road?
Once or twice, maybe a year.
Anything you're hooked onto?
No.
Sports at all?
I like This Old House by Bob Vila. I kind of enjoy that. Bob Vila he takes old homes and rebuilds them, shows you how to do it in a half hour.
Is that on here?
Yeah, it's on TV.
Channel
It's
13 or something?
yeah, you'll see it on
Oh,
the
yeah.
special educational channels. I like that. You never know, you might be able to learn something.
Home, like a home thing and a cooking and all that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you're away from so much, so I really appreciate it.
Do you want to have kids, have a family?
Maybe eventually, not in the near future.
No?
No, I mean, a dog would be good. Huh?
Weren't you married?
Yeah, it's
You
past
don't wanna
tense.
talk about it.
Not really,
All
no.
right.
Have a
maybe-
great lady now, and I'm happy. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
this is a little bit of a-
yeah.
A dog, you say?
Yeah, I
You
love
said a
dogs.
children.
I
Do you
love
have any?
dogs. I've had few in my lifetime. I've given them away to friends because
Not really now, do
you
they?
can't. You can't. You have you have an obligation. You can't. And you can't say, "Dog, I'm leaving." So unfortunately, you can't have that right
Do you
now.
know what you're doing for like the next year and a half?
Yeah, I know I'm getting off the road, and I'll be able to spend holidays at home, which would be great.
Which holidays? You mean Christmas?
Christmas and stuff like that, and
Isn't it amazing how we're already into Christmas? I know, I'm thinking like that too.
Yeah.
because I know what I'm doing
Yeah.
next year.
and be able to have some time off. Jam with a lot of old friends. Play with, I'll come into town, in New York, and I'll just play. I'll grab guys like that used to play with Tycoon,
Yeah.
bands like that. Even like guys from the Knockouts, T. Roth, another pretty face, guys from New York, and we'll get together. Willie Bridges used to play up in Harlem
How
together.
do they feel now that you're...
Oh, they love it. They
Yeah?
love it. Yeah.
They do?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not
They're
jealous?
proud of me.
Oh, that's... Let me ask you something. You talk a lot about not being a political band and entertaining and all of that, and yet the people you tell me that you really love and admire and idolize, Little Steven, Bono, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, these are people who have done things for causes ranging from anti-apartheid, Central America, Vietnam, no nukes, so forth. How do you align your admiration for them and the fact that they do that, and then you take this stance that you don't being political?
Well, maybe I just like a certain color of what they did for me. You know, being a fan, being an admirer. Maybe also it's a point of being that I do look up to those kind of people for whatever reason so much that I don't consider myself a peer. I still consider myself a fan regardless of what they think, you know. And so that's another thing. And third, and what I feel most important is what I feel about the color of their music that I pulled my whole existence from was the fact that rock and roll to me was being able to put on my headphones when I was, 13 or 14 years old and cranking it so loud that it hurt your ears and reading the lyrics of the album cover and laying on your bed. That to me was what it was all about, believing those lyrics, standing in the mirror, making funny faces and jumping around, saying it's going to be me. And those are the things that matter to me, So politically, I feel that they do it, let them do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But personally, I would rather say the world is a bad enough place. When you come to see a Bon Jovi show, forget about that. For this 2 hours, just forget about the bad place, and this is fun.
Don't you think also the fact that Bon Jovi took off the way it has, without the benefit of a supportive press, or I don't really know how radio was in the beginning.
Same
I
thing.
imagine it wasn't wonderful.
Mm-mm.
And don't you think, in essence, the uprising of the audience in that way, that sort of reinforcement in rock and roll that happens every so often with a band like Zeppelin or like a Bon Jovi, don't you think that is inherently political as well? I mean, that's like...
It could be revolutionary. I mean, it's not...
But you know what I mean? I don't mean to get too highfalutin about it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of, I don't mean political, but just, it takes all those people that want to do away with rock and roll, which is a political issue, and all the people who say, oh, you can't do this band, this is never going to happen, or whatever. I mean, just the idea that audience just speaks so loudly, the way it did with you, I think is...
It's pretty wild. It's hard for me to fathom. It's hard for us to understand. We're very happy and pleased that it's happened, and we hope to think that we've stayed the band that we were, 3 years ago on our first album. Maybe that's why, even after a year, we could continue on in touring. This tour didn't have to end because, okay, finally, maybe there's not a couple tickets sold. No, we could play anywhere. This could go on. And thank God, maybe, it's because the kids knew that this wasn't jive and it wasn't contrived, and yet it wasn't overhyped, all the way down to the sequin glove kind of routine, you know what I mean? 3 singles, that was enough. We won't put any more out, there won't be any more anything. That's it, so that was very important to us because we do plan to be back.
You said stay the same band that you were. I assume you mean as people, but musically and in terms of your experience.
Well, yeah, sure. Musically absolutely. And experience-wise, we hope to think that, especially as writers, because that always makes me feel good, that Richie and I have come leaps and bounds ahead of where we were when we first started. We just thought maybe we had an idea of a sense of a melody. Now we'd like to think that maybe we're coming into our own as writers, and we'll continue on. So, yeah, that it's important to us.
Is that important also to you, just in terms, not necessarily ego-wise, but for people to take you more
maybe
seriously in a different vein?
Sure.
Like you are musicians and you can write
That's always
songs.
Sure. That's always been first and foremost in my mind. I've never been a great politician. I've never been a schmoozer, and I've never been a great interview, like with all these great nonsense stories about throwing TVs out of windows. And as good as...
Great interview who talks like that.
Oh, God, there's so many. Oh, sure. There's...
Razzle dazzle and
Yeah.
everything over and over again, and that becomes annoying.
You know, he's made, he's sure turned a lot of people. He's a funny interviewer, or who else? Yeah, whatever, but you know what I mean? I've never been good at that. I never was, and I never will be. My attitude always was, even when I was sweeping floors, had I been a great politician and a schmoozer, I could have been in all those sessions, watching them, maybe getting my tapes to those people, maybe, you know, meeting those record company guys, where I would just sort of say hi and walk out the back door. Where now, you know, then you hear Frank Barcelona talking about me the other day and saying, you know, Bruce and Steven used to tell me stories about this kid that would work in the middle of the night and never say nothing and just disappear. And I would never hang around in those things and try to get in and get my foot in the door. I never did that. I says, if anybody's going to ever know me, it's because I wrote a good song, not because I was a great schmoozer, because I never could do that. I just was never any good at it.
But you learned from watching stuff, didn't you?
I learned how to make records. I learned how to write songs, but I didn't, you know what I mean? I just never, hey, I know this guy, I know that. I didn't never do that, you know, so.
Why? Did you know that?
Not a good politician. Not because I was overly confident in my music, because I'm not.
But I would imagine that would imply that you had really a different kind of a confidence, that you knew that one day something was
Someday I knew it was going to happen. I was making it happen. That was the attitude. I will make this happen, end of sentence. But not because I was confident of it. And maybe it was fear. But
Really?
that was it, because this is what I know how to do. I'm a singer in a rock band. People throw these movies, and how about pin-up, and how about, and I just, I admire actors to death. I think actors are probably like, that's an amazing talent, because I could never sit here and bullshit, or I could never sit here, there's the edit. I could never sit here and pretend to be somebody else. I can't do it.
Most of them, a lot of them don't either. I mean,
Well, that's great. Yeah, maybe, you know, they don't. I don't know them. You know what I
They
mean?
want to do what you do.
Yeah, probably do. I had met I went out with a girl who was an actress, and man, I just went, whoa, this ain't for me. You know, I don't dig that. You know, it's just, she's a nice girl, and a real talent, because she can act and pretend, and I don't know how to pretend. Yeah, I went out with, Diane Lane for a little while. She's a great girl, a nice girl, and a talent. And I admire her as an actress. And I'm not saying, anything about going out with actresses or what have you. But the point is, they are truly a talented breed in my book, because I could never do that.
Well, let me ask you this. There's always this emphasis also on, and I've only talked to you a couple of times, but you've seen everything I've read that you've said. You've stressed, I don't want people to think of me as pretty, I don't want this and that. I mean, you must realize that you're good looking. You must have known that this couldn't hurt. And always in rock and roll, this has been a factor. I mean, maybe not for guys, but I think certainly for girls, and probably for a lot of guys too. People like bands when they look cute. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt.
Why, do you think you're a little too defensive about this?
Maybe I just really wanted to prove a point, and say I can write a #1 song, or I can write, a good album.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't sell because of this, where that would scare me, because then next year, what do I do? Even if I had millions of dollars, what do I do for the next 50 years of my life? I'm not going back to Kinney's. Or regardless, next year, just to say that the Slippery Tour is over. If it's next year, if it's 5 years from now, what am I going to do? Had I relied on just a pretty face, I don't want to do that.
Do you worry that the success of Bon Jovi is one of those kind of fluke things that happens once every 10 years?
No, I've read that, where you get the real hard-nosed article that'll say this is Peter Frampton of the 80s, and this is the Madonna, and this is the Prince, Michael Jackson, and Bruce Springsteen, or, it's a couple of the other names that come to mind. I truly am not worried about it, because Slippery came together so easy. I'm really not worried about it. We had a month off. We hated it. Not a month. God, no month. It wasn't even 2 weeks. It was about 10 days. We went to Mexico. Hated it. Because there was no TV. There was no phones. There was no radio stations, right? Richie and I went to Los Angeles. Got into our LA office and says, if there's anybody here that wants songs, we want to write. And that to me was fun. In that week, Nugent left there with his first single, and Loverboy did, and Belinda Carlisle did, and we just walked out of there after a week, and Charlie Sexton did, and it was just like bang, 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 and people left there and went, yeah, I'll take it, and we just gave him a song, gave him a piece of it for coming in. Here you go, guys, just like the ice cream store. Here you go, what flavor do you want? And it worked.
Well, now, do they all sound like Bon Jovi
No.
songs, or did you write them?
Well, because of their flavor, no.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you work with
Charlie,
people.
Charlie's thing, he, from what I've heard, and this is only secondhand information, has stopped recording his album until everything else can be like this. And not that it was a great song, but it was a fun song. And we said, Charlie, cool it, man. Go and do what you do. Because this kid, I just met him that week. And I told him, I said, Charlie, you sure you're not 35? I think you're jerking everybody around here, man. I says, you have more cool than anybody I ever met. Don't tell me you're 18. I says, you're jive, you know. I says, you're 35, right? He says, no, I'm 18. I met his mom, you know, and his girlfriend and the whole 10 yards. And this kid is an amazing guitar player. And he just wants to be a rock and roller, you know. And we said, do it, you know, just sweat. And he went, yeah, sweat, cool. And it worked. And Nugent came in, and you know, Ted, he can talk a circle around anybody. He says, I need a single. I want to get back on the radio, because if I get on the radio, I'll sell out every arena. We said, you're right, Ted. No question about it. Sat down, wrote a song. He went to the bathroom, came back, another verse was done. He says, that's done? I said, read the lyrics. You like them? Yeah, I love them. Okay, done.
Is that easy?
Now, I don't know why. Maybe I'm crazy, but this is what I said when I wrote this album, too. Doc said, how's it going? Stock, either I'm crazy or I've really learned how to do this.
What does that mean, learned how to do this? That doesn't imply there's a formula.
Not that there's a formula, but you know what's hokey and you know what just doesn't make a good song. You know? I don't know. I mean, just for years, I listened to people that to me wrote cool songs. The Raspberries were a band that was looked over. Remember people like D.L. Byron? D.L. Byron was a great songwriter. The Animals were way before their time. I'd listen to some weird little album like that nobody ever knew about. Didn't sell 50,000 copies, right? And got this sense of melody, maybe. I don't know. That sort of just all comes in and makes a Bon Jovi record.
How do you write with Richie? Do you do the melody, he does the words, you do the words, he does the melody?
It's nothing to be said. I mean, his influences are so drastically different that it made Bon Jovi. Mine being what they are, his being Led Zeppelin, Bad Company, and all the English stuff, hit on a crash course. By the second and third album, he knows what I'm thinking. You know, he knows exactly what I'm going to tell him, and it's done. When I walked in with Wanted Dead or Alive, I said, you know, I've really got this idea, and I started humming the idea and storyline, and he played me that riff right there. And that's that day. We had already written another song and wanted... You know, he says, okay, we'll work on it tomorrow. Between the hour and a half it took, it was done. And it's my favorite song that we've ever written. I think it took about an hour and a half, yeah. Because he came up with the riff, and I came up with where we were going, the storyline and the lyrical point of view. And that was it. We were just locked in, and I don't know how we do it, but I'm not going to question it either.
You don't mind giving them away?
I don't mind, because I truly am not afraid. I have two that I'm pretty well, if we were to start recording today, locked into for the album. It'll probably be harder for us to write this year, only because we'll scrutinize maybe a little more. Because I enjoy doing Living on a Prayer live. I enjoy doing Die For You live. I enjoy doing Wanted. So maybe that's where I want to go next year. You know, a little more like that.
Do you think you have...
I met a lot of people. I met one girl who used to work at Epic Records. And I actually met her when I was working in the fast food places in the mall. And I was about 17 years old. In the Woodbridge Mall, there was a little food place that doesn't exist anymore called Sippin' Snacks, right? And I would work there, and I was 17, and I had to be old enough to drive. So I'd drive there after school. And I saw a girl come out with a satin jacket, said Epic on the back. And I said, is that Epic Records? And she said, yeah. And I said, someday I'll be there. And she gave me her card. And I guess 4 years later, I had knocked on her door again, and she still worked there. And she heard Runaway and a bunch of other stuff, and was nice enough to let me come there to be friends with her, and I met her husband who worked at A&M, and then I met a couple other guys through Aldo Nova that worked at Portrait. So I got to meet these couple little A&R guys.
Who's the girl that was at
Doreen Courtwright. She was Doreen Riley at the time.
Oh,
And then
really?
Hernando Courtwright from A&M.
Hernando Courtwright, not the one that has the hotel.
Yeah.
Beverly Wilshire.
Right. His dad owned it, and he was an A&R guy at A&M.
Right.
Now he's in management. But they were young. They were just a couple of years older than I was, and she was an A&R girl. And she'd let me, come up there and play her my stuff, and she'd tell me how much it was terrible, and they
Really?
couldn't. Oh yeah. But I'd get all the, all the good dirt, and they'd give me some records and stuff, and I'd get to say that I knew somebody at Epic Records, which was cool. But otherwise, I remember Bowie let me open up a beer for him one day, those little, otherwise,
What do you mean he let you open up a beer?
they didn't have a bottle opener or something, and I was the gopher, so there's no bottle opener. John runs down 3 flights of steps, runs back up with the bottle opener, opens up a Heineken and gives it to him.
I mean, now.
But I still look at those people in awe. I would never look at them as a peer.
Do you understand that you could sell out 3 times as many?
I wouldn't.
Bowie?
Honest to God, we don't think like that. Bowie was
All right.
a childhood, or even I played softball for a charity game with Huey Lewis about 3 weeks ago. Huey says, I remember meeting you in New York, and he told me the incident because I thought he was, pulling my leg. And he met me before my first album, and he was recording sports. So it was, before they really broke. And, you remember, when somebody like that, who I liked and enjoyed his music, was nice to you like that, And I remember seeing, Gene Simmons in there, who I've become friends with since, cover up his face and it was after they were done wearing makeup. I guess it was instinct, and he just saw, kid, cover, and, little cool things like that, or seeing Little Steven do his first solo album, the Men Without Women album. They didn't record that like a record. They had a party in the room and then just turned the microphones on. Had been a 30-foot Italian flag hanging from the ceiling and catering all around. The horn players up on a riser, the drums up on a riser, and everyone played live as opposed to recording, the sessions. And that was the first thing I ever did on a record, was on the song Save Me. On the second side, I got to do the hand claps about 3 o'clock one morning. And it was outrageous, because that was cool to me, to be able to be there pouring the coffee or whatever. And somebody like Steve, if Steve Van Zandt says to you, "How you doing?" he wants to know how you're doing. You know what I mean? He's that kind of guy. When he says, "How you doing?" he means it. It's not just in passing, And I learned those things from those people, and they've based the career of what this band has become, And I've met the people that were absolute idiots, that with the entourage and get out of here, and I've met the Rolling Stones, and Charlie Watts held the door for me and my band, and you go well, check this out, and it was great, I remember those things. Mick Jagger would say, one night he said to me, "How's the tapes coming, how's your songs going?" I was a little punky kid, this is 6-7 years ago. That's pretty amazing stuff. Or let Steven Tyler let me watch him sing Cry Me a River on the Rock and the Hard Place album. I was the only person in the studio. Again, at maybe 2, 3 in the morning. But that's when I used to function there. That was my time.
Knowing what you know now, having been through what you've been through, all right, it's only a year of this kind of massive success, but it's been about 5 years of hard work. Do you still have the same kind of awe and enthusiasm and excitement and love for all of this? I mean, talking about it, your face is lit up. So
It's true.
You still do have that.
Oh, yeah. I went to the Garden this week, and I pulled up in the front in a van. We don't know limousines. We don't do the limousine trip. Today, we're in a limousine because Polygram Records paid for it because of our party, right? This is, honest to God, we don't drive in limousines. We took a van to 3 sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden. I said, stop. We stopped. We all took out our cameras. We stood in front of the garden, and we took pictures of ourselves in front of the garden. That's what we do. Kids are freaking out, and it's, we just want to take a picture. So we took a picture of us. But that's the kind of things that I think are great. That's the truth.
You're very determined to maintain.
You gotta maintain
not
it.
lose that as much as possible.
How can I write?
How can you?
how can I write about Tommy and Gina anymore if Tommy used to work on the yacht? You know, what am I going to say, right?
I know, but don't you think in a way the kids expect that kind
They
of...
would, I think so sometimes, yeah,
I mean,
you know.
they expect the store thing.
Right.
Like if they should...
In the mansion, right.
In an Instamatic in front of Madison Square Garden, they're going to be disappointed.
I don't know about that. I mean, when I remember playing the nightclubs, and nothing got me off more than to remember Bruce Springsteen walking in and picking up my girlfriend's sister and then playing the Garden, you know, and going there to see this man that I was in awe, you know.
What do you mean picking up?
Sitting there with a beer talking to my girlfriend's sister when I was 17, you know, the girl I was going out with then, right? I mean, and he's sitting there with a Heineken, and he jumped on stage with us, and then you go and see him that year, and he's playing the Garden, you know, or Southside Johnny, or any of those guys. That, to me, was what it was all about.
But he has a huge mansion in New Jersey now, and in New York, some extravagant apartment or townhouse in New York, and Beverly Hills. And I think after a while, in order to maintain your sanity and your privacy, you almost have to live like that, no?
Well, maybe. I mean, yeah.
You can't live in that one room apartment.
No, my lease is up, and it just was up in June, and it's only August now. I couldn't go there. I mean, it would, yeah. My house has become, yeah. I mean, families come there, you know, full families. But full families are never, you know, yeah, it happens.
On vacation with cameras to stand in the
Absolutely.
house.
Absolutely. Bruce's house, same thing. You know, that's the way my parents' house is.
How do your parents feel about this? Do they love it? Or are they getting a
No, I hope that they love it too much. And the people that go there, they're very nice to. And what I'm afraid of is, God forbid, that there should be one nut job.
We're not going to say that.
That's those people is what I'm afraid for my parents. You know, that happens, and they don't understand because they're so happy that somebody likes their kid. That they're nice to these people, and I say, you shouldn't, you know. But the police are, you know, just a couple blocks away, and they're, you know, my hometown is a very small town. They're very proud of their guys, you know, and they're right on top of everything. So.
All right, that's another thing, Mitchell. Don't use that. You talk about you do ads against drugs, and you drink. Do you see any disparity with that?
To see me have 2 drinks like this is rare, because I work every day, and to keep my voice happening and trying to make it, you know, that I hit those high notes every night and can run around as much as I do. I've never gone on stage drunk, you know, never. I would never do it. I don't do drugs. I believe what I said in that commercial that I did. I think that when I was in school, drugs we did because it was peer pressure. I think drugs now is almost just the opposite, where it's like to a point where drugs are not the cool thing to do anymore. At least I hope so. You know, I don't know, I've been out of school for a while, but the kids, I think, are almost to a point where they go, yeah, you know, who needs it? You know, I mean, cocaine when I was in school was something that we heard about at Studio 54 in the newspapers, you know? And now you think that kids are doing it in school is pretty wild, but I think, or at least I hope to think, that kids think it's not cool, you know?
You're very private about your private life, but do you understand fans' interests in that? I mean, when you were a fan, I don't know if you wanted
Sure.
to know what people were doing and who they went out with and where they hung out and all that kind of stuff.
No, I never hung out in front of a hotel or that kind of thing.
Never asked anybody
Never.
for autographs.
Autographs, I got, yeah. I used to, you know, as a little kid, it was like, you know, baseball guys or something. Singers in rock bands and that kind of thing. Not a lot, no, a couple. But I never wanted to know that much about them.
But you understand why people do.
Yeah, the reason I have to do interviews is so that they do know.
In terms of your private life, though, in terms of your romantic life, do you feel that it makes you more mysterious if you're seen alone and you don't talk very much about a girlfriend, or do you just not really think it's anybody's business?
Well, besides that, it's not anybody's business. You know, if I have or have had girlfriends, the band has always really truly come to that the band is more than your friends and it's more than your brothers. It's your life. That it really, we grew up as a band, lost wives, lost girlfriends over it. There was serious mess going on, you know, with divorces and stuff.
Why?
Because nobody understood.
The women didn't understand.
Oh no, the girls couldn't understand. Not the female attraction, but
Never been.
you're away for 9 months. You know, where's Paris? We never knew where Paris or London was. You know, we went to, you know, Manhattan, and if you were like lucky, you went to Florida. I'd never been to Florida until I went on the road. You know, I never been to anywhere like that. So, you know, we came home and wanted to tell everybody these great stories about life in the world, and there was nothing there anymore. You know, so we realized
They're
that
envious, do you think, or they just feel so left out?
it's a different world. You know, I mean,
It's not that you change.
We
so
don't
much,
change,
it's that
people
they
change.
don't keep up to
Right.
it. I mean, they don't have the same experience, I think, so they can't share it.
there's a lot of, you know, I mean, this week I brought my grandfather here, and
From where?
from Erie, Pennsylvania. He's never lived outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. Never been overseas. Never been to California, Florida, nowhere. Goes hunting in Canada a little bit, fishing in Lake Erie. That's life.
How old is he?
70. So, right. Well, he came down, he saw my house, and he was pretty knocked out. And he says, "Why don't you play in Erie?" I says, "Well, it's, you know, you only have a 5,000 seat hall." I said, "What are we going to do there?" He says, "Well, play at the football stadium." Well, the football stadium is the high school. It's the place where I saw my very first rock show. I was 13 years old, and it was Heart, Rush, and the Doobie Brothers on the same bill. And it was going to rain, so they flipped the bill around, and the Doobies went on first. And so that was the last show they had there 12 years ago. I says, "Okay, I'll call you back."
How many does it seat?
15,000. So I said, "I'll call you back." And I called up Doc, and I says, "Doc, can we play the stadium for my grandfather?" He says, "Yeah." Okay, he called up the promoter. The promoter says, "Well, you know, it's the last show they had there was when you went." This was like the most makeshift rock and roll show in the whole world, and it was great because the city embraced us like we were theirs, you know. And then I flew him down here and took him out to the Nassau show, and he says, "I would tell my friends what this was, but they wouldn't believe me." So he's, you know, he got a big kick out of it.
But doesn't that make you feel...
That's what it's all about. If you don't have somebody to share it with, then nothing's worth it. You don't need the money or the notoriety if you don't have family and friends to give it to, you know, to say, "Check this out," you know, and laugh about it together, you know.
Well, how is it for you when you're on the road all this time, going back to the hotel at midnight by yourself? And
That's pretty wild. You think about those things a lot of
I mean, it's
times.
like you're in there, in the hotel room.
Yeah.
20,000 people have just been screaming for you, and it's almost like the cliche of every bad movie where they say it's lonely at the top because you yourself are actually sitting there.
You don't know anybody.
Listen to TV.
Yeah, you know no one, and you're lonely, and there's nowhere to go because you don't know the city, you know. And it happens a lot.
I mean, you can be with somebody if you wanted to, and you could go somewhere if you wanted to.
I'm not that much of a. I don't. Yeah, I mean, have you ever? And you're here enough. You've never read about me at one of these nightclubs, or I don't do it.
Oh, except for the strip clubs.
In Vancouver or New Jersey, but you know, I mean, but that's a place where we go and have a beer. But you know what I mean about the nightlife and the limelights, the China clubs, the blah blah blah. I don't do those things. I feel really uncomfortable and out of place there. So
You really do still feel out of place, or you're just bored or not interested
I
in it?
never was interested in them, and I would be very bored and out of place. I don't feel that. If I wasn't fortunate enough to be the lead singer in a big rock band, chances of me picking up these girls are slim and none because
No, you're
I'm not.
so cute.
I'm not a talker. I have nothing to say.
You talk. Listen to you. What are you talking about? I mean,
Honest to God, I go out and either spill my guts out and tell them all the truth,
I see. Yeah, but
or
they
I say
love
nothing.
that. But that's what they like.
Yeah, I was never a good picker-upper.
Schmoozer. Well, are you getting married?
No.
Off the devoted. You'd be surprised. They really move along with you. They accept that stuff. You're very nervous and anxiety-ridden and brooding and all these things that have been hinted in various articles that have been written about you. I think the Rolling Stone one was the one that was, there was just this hint of that.
I don't know. I mean, I like that article. I was happy with it. You know, I mean, she had to get her little opening article, you know, statements in, but
What was that all about?
about the hair, which was pretty funny. But I think I enjoyed more at the shows to read the banners that the kids are you really 14 inches, you know, or something. Those I get a kick out of because of the hair statement. But you know, I mean, God, the truth about, you know, anything like a long hair is, my dad cut hair for a living, you know, and that was what it was. If you got your ass kicked and you got your hair cut, and that's just the way it was.
But you are going to cut it, you think?
I think so. We
Now it's everybody's imitating it, and it's becoming almost a cliche.
yeah, you know, I mean,
What would you do?
I had it all greased back and you know, the way it would look as if it was shorter, and wore it for a week or two at the shows on this tour, and kids were bummed.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You know, so finally when I even got back in this
Let
area,
me see, pull that one over your face.
I would like it, you
Yeah.
know, I would like it to already be out of my eyes. It's been so many years, but maybe next year. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, but what I was asking you is, are you very
Am I brooding?
broody, thoughtful? You have bouts of anxiety or nervousness or concern?
Sure. You know, if I wasn't concerned, I wouldn't be where I am at 25 years old, you know? I mean, I'm the youngest guy in the band, so it was my...
How old is the oldest guy?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Ask Al. I don't know. But to tell you the truth, I honest to God don't know anymore. I've heard different things, and he'll deny it to me.
Passports, oh, you can change them.
I could look at his passport. You can?
Yeah, anyway. Whatever, it doesn't really matter.
No, he's not that old, you know. I mean, and I'm only the youngest guy by a couple of months, you know. But to put something together that has been so pinpointed as, you know, yes, we're going to make your records, yes, we're going to have gold albums, you know, then you set another goal as platinum, then is all the headlining, then, you know, you work your way up. Where, yeah, I had to set goals, and yeah, I had to be pretty determined to get them. So if that's thoughtfulness or brooding or whatever it comes down to, yeah. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with that either, you know, so I'm proud of it, you know.
But do you think this image of you as mastermind is fair?
No, I've, you know, in fact, I got beat up from that Rolling Stone thing. I felt real bad about it, and I guess I should have finished my sentence. It wasn't her fault, but it was something came out about me saying that Pete Townsend didn't care about being robbed the way he was. All he cared about was the music. Well, then all the letters in the next issue was, well, screw you, Mr. Businessman, you know, you should care about the music more. Maybe you'd write better songs. And, oh, great. Well, the truth of the matter was is I had read this book, and I was in England, and just, you know, someone giving me this book. And what happened was is The Who got all those great songs. And, you know, if you use something like that question that was brought up today about Revolution being used in a sneakers commercial, well, The Who got robbed, not even sold it, all their publishing and all that other stuff, because nobody knew that this is the music business.
Didn't sell Revolution. They didn't get a dime from that.
Michael Jackson got the publishing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But their publishing was gone,
Yeah.
right? Well, Pete went all the way to court and said, hey, let's just forget about this. You know, let me go and let's start over again. Well, what happened, Pete? You know, you're in trouble now, bud, you know? So, God, you know, God knows they've written enough great music. But unfortunately, people took his good-heartedness and ripped it to shreds, you know, and it made the guy real weary of the business end, I imagine, you know.
And you're not weary yet of the business.
Oh, I'm so weary of it that
Yeah.
I'm so weary that maybe that's my problem. That's my biggest problem is I'm so jaded that you know, I know what it's like to be beat up like that, you know.
Quickly.
Yeah.
By the worst possible.
Quickly.
I mean,
Yeah, and it don't get any worse, and you know, and wow, boy, you wake up, grow up real quick, and I've had second thoughts between the first and second album. Do I want to do a second album? Because I was that shook up at the time with all the divorces with the guys and the
How many
girlfriends.
were there?
2 divorces and 3 major breakups of longtime girlfriends.
Tico was a divorce?
Tico and Alec were both
And
divorced.
the breakups were you?
Me, David, and Richie,
How'd you
all
break
lost.
up with her?
Just time.
Really?
You know, it was over, you know, a year later. And that happened. Then you get here with the suits, and then our equipment was stolen, and it was like everything we had in the world, which we hadn't even paid off. And I just took the recorder and I took the acoustic guitar, and probably the holes are still in the wall at my dad's house where I just like I flipped. I lost it, you know, and that's not fair because all he wanted to do was play music, you know. So
Who wanted to do it?
we did.
Oh, yeah.
Me, you know.
But don't you know that anybody who ever wanted to play music went through something like that?
Oh,
These
yeah.
bands were hung up for 5 years. Look at the bands that have had people die.
Elton John, you know, I mean, Elton's, God, I have a CD I just got of all the music of his, all the great, Your Song He Doesn't Own, and
Do you look and see the publishing when you're looking at a record?
it came with a letter attached to it that said, you know, the Dick James Music, blah, 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 collection.
Right.
Elton John, The Formative Years. Well, this guy owns all the hits. Phew.
So you're
So,
very rich, aren't you?
I don't think so.
Why? How could you not be?
It's too early to tell. You don't get accounted to.
But you walk away from concerts at Madison Square Garden where for 3 nights you could, if someone figures it out, it's well into 6 figures. I mean.
Yeah, it's good money. It's good money. It beats Kinney's.
What do you do with it?
Oh, it's
Sock it away.
sure. The band's got, you know, everybody's got some money and they take care of their families and friends and that kind of thing. Yeah,
Does this band share equally?
yeah.
And all the money, everybody, each person? I mean, other than the songwriting stuff.
Except the songwriting stuff, the band, yeah.
Do you think that's real important? I mean, even
The
though
band
it
is a
was your
band, right?
Do you think that that's the first thing that breaks up things is money?
I would think it could be, but the band trusts and works with each other so well that there's never been a question of second guessing anybody's word, you know. You need something, okay, you do it, you know. You need money for this, don't ask, you get it. You know, when we didn't have it to get, we took it, you know. I need money because I have no money.
From where?
Whoever, record company manager, and if they flinched, I would remember. You know what I mean? I'll remember. And they, you know, if we needed it, and we paid them back in full, but if we needed it, you dig out your last $2 and give it to those guys in the band because they are truly your brothers. You know, Tico doesn't have any brothers or sisters. Richie doesn't have any brothers or sisters. Dave's only got one sister. So this is the family. You know, this is each
You have
other's
brothers
brother.
and sisters?
I have 2 little brothers. Yeah,
How old are they?
one's 21 and one's
Do
13.
they want to do this?
Nah, one of
Do they
them
enjoy
works.
you?
No.
They hate you?
No, they want the young one comes to the shows. The older one works for us. He's involved in the crew, and eventually, you know, wants to move up into, you know, maybe on the management end of it. But he enjoys it, you know, because now for the first time he's seen California. He's seen, you know, and so he's like, wow, this is okay, and so that's nice.
Who's your best friend in the whole world?
Probably Richie.
Really?
Mm.
And this band really is that close?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you know how sometimes bands struggle so hard to make it, and then when they make it, that's when all the tensions start coming out and they all break
I
up?
truly haven't seen that.
Big Girls have to
Yeah, you know.
A couple of others I can think of. Van Halen, another one, you know.
I haven't seen it yet because I don't know the Jake Giles situation or even really the true Van Halen situation, but we, I guess, again, priding ourselves so much on the idea that we don't want to believe any of it, we keep our feet on the ground by
Believe
doing
what,
that. The success of
Well,
it.
you know what I think it was also with those bands is that they hated each other all along. And when they made it, it just really came out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like all of a sudden things changed. There was those problems.
Yeah, no.
intrinsic from the beginning.
When this band got together, there could have been better players, any one of us. There's 50,000 better ones just like us, but the chemistry was there.
What is it, do you think, that caused this 10, 11 million records and
I don't know.
200?
Fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just was that fun aspect and
Yeah.
a smile. You know, I mean, it was just meant to be
Yeah,
that,
something
and
more. It's got to be something more. Even if you can't define it, it's still.
can't
yeah.
define it.
One more question. You said you weren't the best opening act. What does that mean?
Oh, if you left a ladder hanging from the lighting truss, I was climbing it. If there was an aisle in the,
Or you
it-
mean just to get more
oh,
attention? Or?
I was going to blow off whoever I opened for. That was my attitude. I mean, people did not like us. Yeah. If there was an aisleway, I was in it, you know. My first tour, a manager came back. He says, "You ever do that again, you're going home." And oh yeah, I had people come in and, "You little sock, kill you." Big, you know, gorilla type road managers and stuff from the headlining acts saying, "I'll kill you, don't you ever." And you know, I've gotten as far as they've taken my monitors off stage. You don't need them, you know. So I'm not the best opening act to have, just because that was my attitude, you know, get them, you know, and that's what we did.
But you always, I mean, this is my theory, that every band that ever steps on stage and somewhere in their hearts thinks that they'll be as big as the Beatles, or they want to be, at least. No, I mean, you aren't going to be content.
You want to be big, yeah, absolutely. Nobody that ever steps on stage wants to, you know, play the Holiday Inn. You know, you want to make records, you want to be successful doing it.
Yeah.
To say, I never said the Beatles. I thought success was Southside Johnny playing Great Adventure. To me, that was cool. That was as cool as you got, you know. I mean, I remember standing out there when they hired a second guitar player, thinking, that could be like the coolest thing in the world. I could do that, you know, and that would be it. I never in a million years, and I know Jon, and I love Jon and listen to his music. I called him from Chicago backstage. I says, and I didn't even talk to him. His machine was on. I says, "I just listened to the live album, and I'm inspired again. I'm gonna go out there and kick their asses." And I haven't talked to him since. And I should have called him for these local shows, but I was afraid he'd say, "No, I don't want to come," and I wouldn't call him. And I didn't. Because to me, he's still Southside Johnny. He's not John Lyon, the guy that I know.
I mean, at the moment, he'd probably be thrilled.
I know.
That many people, you see, you're crazy. You can't really be that humble about it, can you?
Honest to God. I mean, when Steve Van Zandt came up there Monday night,
It was great. That was wonderful.
I just kept going like this. Pull back, go to like this, look at it again. And I had pictures and videotape and audio tape, and I just went home and watched it on TV. Absolutely.
How do you feel about all the bands that are sort of going to come in your wake?
I think it's just fine. I met those guys like from Poison, and I thought they were an LA band. They says, "Oh, we saw you play in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in a little club, you know, a couple times," and it's really a compliment, because I've read where they say stuff about us, and you go, "Okay, here it comes. They're going to say," and he goes, "Well, these guys deserve what they've got because I saw him live, and you know, he kicked my ass." And you go, "Well, that's really nice," because all I think that I've ever done is to say good things, especially in the press about other bands. If I had nothing good to say, I wouldn't say it,
Right.
you know? So if you got somebody like that, all power to them, you know? I mean, you get the guys that slagged everybody when their album hit, and then their career's over and they're shoe salesmen again because they got in trouble. You know?
What do you think happened with this band?
What do I think?
Why?
That's a good question. I think that it was had to do a lot with timing and there's a good message to our songs. You know, like "Living on a Prayer." It's a very honest thing. I think that we were doing that at one period of time. You know, when we were making $7 a day per diem and rooming together and driving around in a station wagon. You feel very vulnerable at that point when you're growing as a band together, and the only thing you got is basically each other. It's like this little unit that travels all over the world, you know, and it's very confining too sometimes at that point. And now I've noticed in my life too, sometimes you feel when you're at the point of your peak and strength, you also feel a bit vulnerable also. But getting back to that, I think it was timing. And timing had a lot to do with also, I think that the time was right for Bon Jovi, and basically we delivered the goods. And we do deliver the goods. Rock and roll.
How was it different? I mean, why so much more acceptance? Why there's a love of these kids for you? More than, say, I don't know who else released records this year, around the same time you did. You sold 10 million records. What
Yeah.
did you two sell? What did they?
I think it also has a lot to do with the visual aspect of our videos. We made 5 videos before this year, right? That we couldn't stand, man. It was just like, we just was like,
Now,
wow.
how'd you put them out?
We didn't know better. We were naive kids.
You two are not naive.
Well, we were. See, because when people come to you and you get a record contract, okay, that's great. Okay. But then they go, okay, we're going to make a video. And I'm a musician and not an actor or a director or anything like that. So you basically put yourself in the hands of other people. And I remember when we came home to see our first video, you know, there was silence, man. We came into New York City, I remember, and we're all excited. Yeah, man, our album's coming out, and we got Runaway. And there was like, we looked at it and we went, there was just like silence. We looked at each other and we started to laugh. We said, are you kidding? Because what happens is the directors, they take you into their hands and they make you what they want, okay? So then we tried different directors, different things like that, and there was a couple of videos, we're okay, right? But then this year we hit upon a company called The Company, a video company called The Company, and Wayne Isham and Kurt Marvis, who were our directors this year, and we sat down with them and basically said, look, man, no actors, no actresses, you get this, live, make it happen. We said, we're gonna set up this concert. We got on the radio in Los Angeles on all the stations and said, look, man, Bon Jovi's giving a free concert here at the Olympic Theater. Everybody's invited. 5,000 kids showed up. It was mass pandemonium. Instead of doing You Give Love a Bad Name 1,200 times, we put on a show for free. So the kids got a show, and we just filmed everything. I said, film the whole show, use as many cameras, and that's the way it came out. It came out real. We had a blast. The kids had a blast. We didn't make them sit through You Give Love a Bad Name 1,200 times. So by the fifth time they're doing it, they're not excited anymore, and you're not getting that reality on film. I think that the realness of what went on this year, visually as well as musically. We've met somebody like Bruce Fairburn as our producer, who captured us on vinyl and what we really are as guys, you know what I mean? Or tape.
I know.
Or CD. And we found
But
somebody.
I mean, that's the actual record. It's not vinyl, is it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Vinyl?
It's vinyl. Yeah, Elvis, it's the same.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same. And also, so we found those people like Wayne and Kurt to direct us visually, which is an important thing. That's another reason, I guess, all those things together, all those variables, I think that had a lot to do with Bon Jovi's success. Also, the fact that we have established ourselves as a live entity all these years. I mean, 220 some odd shows this year already and more to go, and 530 behind our belt for the past 3 years all over the world, which makes you, you know, like kind of well-rounded, you know what I mean? Yeah. I had a day off yesterday, which I was in the studio for 4 hours doing that Christmas thing.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
I love these
Oh, no, I had a...
doctored live.
Oh, no, I just mixed it. We just mixed it. A matter of fact, I think it's the only record that's on that record that's live. So,
I think there's one other one.
yeah, whatever. So I think that all has a lot to do with our success. The fact that we work really hard, and we do, you know, that's what's fun, you know, and it's still, what's great is, too, is that we all still get along well.
Really, all of you?
I swear. It's the honest to God truth. It's gotten actually stronger. It's gotten actually stronger, our relationships together, because now this is the first time, I think this is the end of the American leg of the tour. This is the first time in 4.5 years that you have a chance now to step back and step away and see what Richie Sambora wants for himself and what Tico Torres wants for himself and what Jon Bon Jovi thinks of his success and what I think of the success and what it's gone so fast, not coming of it, but the work, we work so hard and on so many different things at a time. You know, there's always press to do. There's always concerts to put on. There's always albums to record. John and I produced Cher. We wrote for Loverboy. We wrote for Charlie Sexton, Ted Nugent. You know what I mean? So even on our days off, we've always been busy. And there really hasn't been any time to step back when you have time to sleep. You know? So now,
How much do you sleep a night? About?
6 hours is an average.
That's okay.
That's okay. 4 is okay.
Really? How old
4
are
is
you?
okay. I'm 28.
Were you friends with somebody else really a lot before you were in this band? Like, did you have like a best friend, some guy that you?
Oh, so I still do. I have
I mean,
a
are they
few.
still able to be your friends, or is it really now this band?
Well,
that
now-
of necessity, Jon needed to become your best friend.
Well, John and I became friends. Honestly, it's family too now because you live with each other, man. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't know if it was out of necessity. I don't think you could be friends out of necessity and really do it the way we do it. I mean, even after, after we finished the 7800 degree tour, every day we were together writing a multitude of material, man. As always, man. He would come over and wake me out of bed, man, and I'd leave the door open in my house and shake my hands. Wake up, man. And I'd wake up and we'd sit down and write, every day.
Who's your
And we
best
still-
friend in the world?
I got a bunch. I tell you what. I think that you're right. I have to say the band, my manager, which is strange as it seems, is a good friend of mine. I have a few old friends from high school and stuff that I still see. That it's nice that you send a limousine at our house and stick them on a plane and say, check this out and share this with me.
And
Which
they're
is
not
really-
envious, and they didn't leave you.
Well, if you
They
share
didn't
it.
think you changed and all that shit.
No, some of them have, but they've become unimportant because you do change a little bit, man. My lifestyle has changed a whole lot, not because of anything but my work, because I work all the time. I have time for nothing else right now. It's kind of like I eat, live, and breathe rock and roll. I brush my teeth with it, you know what I mean?
What'd you do before?
Same thing. But locally, though, see? So I was able to be reached as far as people could come see me play and socialize with me.
Did you have a girlfriend when this band started?
Yeah.
And that broke up.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's
Soon
did.
thereafter?
Absolutely.
Do you think that it's like you go away somewhere real exotic and you come back and they're sitting there having done the same things and it's like you're totally on different wavelengths?
Yeah.
You can't share it?
See, now it's a little bit different. Now I'm seeing someone and things are pretty good. It's still very new, a few months old. But see, now, before we never had enough cash to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that's the reality of it. Sure, yeah, we couldn't afford nothing. We were barely affording to live ourselves,
Do you
still.
like bringing somebody that you're seeing on the road with you, though? Or do you
For a limited amount of time, yeah. Because I'm a worker. John and I, especially, I think that we're really workaholics. I mean, I just started to have a bit of mental fatigue now, to the point where I don't think I'd be any fun on a date, man, because I'm just mentally blasted, so it's...
You said something before about at the peak of this success, you're at your most vulnerable.
Well, not most vulnerable, but you are vulnerable to a certain extent also, I mean, if you look at it, now everybody's taking a shot at you. You know what I'm saying? When it's just like the United States, we're number one in the world, and everybody's at us. You know what I'm saying? Like all these little countries and everything are at you. So I think that Bon Jovi's success is so happening now, and everything is like, we were number one at this and number one at number that, and everybody's saying, well, how do you get there and dethrone us when we were the ones before, doing that, trying to get to that place,
Are you competitive with other bands? I mean, are you aware of the ones that
No, not really. Matter of fact, yesterday was the first time I looked at Billboard in about, must have been 3-4 months, We're number 10. After a year, we're still in the top 10, and that flipped me out. I'm glad about the resurgence of rock. I think it was going through a stale period. I'm glad about the resurgence of rock. I think it was going through a stale period for a while. Not that it was bad or anything, because I'm a fan of all types of music. I listen to everything from metal church to Rachmaninoff, so.
What was your most favorite music when you were
Oh,
growing up? Biggest
the
influence?
Beatles, man. Oh, yeah, man. My parents were dancers, and I remember being 6 and my dad walking in with my first 45 and my first record player. Came home from work and said, I want to turn you on to this, and was Please Please Me on VJ Records. I remember it distinctly in my mind.
How old are you? 28?
I'm 28.
So how old were you when you
I
were
was
6?
65.
Years ago, 65, right. What kind of dancers were they?
Ballroom dancers.
Really?
Yeah. And they actually were very, very good. They won. They were on TV. I saw them a bunch of times and stuff.
Where'd you grow up?
Woodbridge, New Jersey.
You haven't grown very far.
Nah, not
Except
really.
all around the world.
Except around the world a few times. I like New Jersey because of the attitude and the proximity to New York City, which is fast-paced, and you learn a lot just by keeping your eyes open.
How's it changed for you on the road this time, headlining? You know, having people screaming and running after you and all the security and that whole kind of having to walk in through kitchens and
Yeah.
not being able to go to the bar.
I still go to the bar.
You do?
Yeah, I
You
still
don't
do.
get
I still.
involved, or-
I think Jon has more of a problem because he's, so out front. I can still kind of lay back a bit. I can still actually go places without, if I put my hair up in a baseball cap and dress down a bit in sweats and a pair of sneakers, I can still actually get away with going to the mall, and I do.
Well, you've been seeing somebody for a couple of months now, but I would imagine, before that, being on the road, you were sort of joking about it before, but has the whole situation changed a lot with bands being more uptight about picking balls up?
Yeah, I'm sure. I know it has.
It had to be crazy for it not to.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just trying to, think about it as being an intelligent human, saying, well, check this out. Now, now that I'm being successful, I seem to be a little less daring, man, than I was. Like before, I was saying to myself, yeah, man, I want to jump out of a plane. I want to with my Walkman on, listening to like Led Zeppelin. I want to jump out of a plane, and now I don't have that need to do that. I don't think anymore, because
Now you have too many responsibilities.
now I have responsibilities to my friends and my band, and I have to take their lives into consideration. And I say to myself, if Jon came to me and said, I want to jump out of a plane, I would have to say, as a friend, dude, don't do it, you know what I mean? So, for me, don't do it, because I need you to hang out with, write music.
But that's okay. That doesn't make you feel inhibited.
No, just like,
Yeah, but just even as a human being, you wouldn't want to pick somebody up on the road and get a disease that would make you cry.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
no band.
Absolutely not. But you just have, like I said, when you don't think about it, maybe. Now you think twice about it because now you're a headliner and you love it, and I love it. And that's
It's
what I
just
do.
like, okay, when you were in these bands, you were doing these, like, where were you playing?
New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Philadelphia. I was pretty much all over the place.
And what kind of stuff were you
Matter of fact, I never locked myself into one thing. I had all these different bands going at one time in place.
What kind of different stuff?
Oh man, I did everything. I did sessions, I did country sessions, I did disco sessions.
You can play any kind of music.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that happens with kids nowadays. It really aggravates me because when I was a kid growing up, I was taught to listen to everything, and it made me understand things. You know what I mean? It's like living in the city, and you live on Rock and Roll Street, and the one block over is Jazz Avenue, and the next block over is, Heavy Metal Street or Classical Street, man, and you don't bother to walk across the street and check it out and smell the roses, and that's very close-minded to me, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are like that because it's, it's like a clique almost. It's almost a lifestyle to be that kind of, either, okay, you're into heavy metal and you're a headbanger, or you're jazz and you're cool and you smoke a cigarette at the bar on 7th Avenue South, And I do all that. And enjoy them all, And maybe I'm winning, And that's, so I think.
Well, when you were in those bands, doing all those different kinds of music, what was like, you had a dream, obviously, of being
Yeah. To do this.
huge band.
To do this.
Like, this band.
To do exactly this. Yeah,
Exactly
this is it.
this.
Exactly.
Exactly this.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Number 1 album, number 1 record, sold
Absolutely.
out Madison Square Garden, sold out Giant Stadium, whatever.
Come on, let's do it,
All that. Now what? What's next? Just more of it?
Yeah, more good music, because it's the music that generates all that. See, it's
Everybody always
Yeah, but it's playing the right music. See, if it wasn't the right music, it all wouldn't be the dream.
You probably couldn't do it if it was.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
right, but see, it's got to be, you got to be able to, that's right. We write the music so we can play it every night
Right.
and convey that communication is the important thing with songwriting. People, I did a couple interviews and they said, what's the most important thing with songwriting with you? And I said, to me, to communicate something, whether it be an inward feeling, whether like Wanted, Dead or Alive, which is one of the favorite songs that I've written with Jon. It's about us, me and Jon, being on the road, the way we live. And the video was that in itself. Living on a Prayer was a thought that we had, and we wanted to say something positive to the kids, like what we've done. You know what I mean? Like, we stuck together and worked hard, and we did what we had to do. And we didn't want to give the kids like a false thing that said that you could do this if this is it, because one thing I've learned doing what I'm doing, everything is just a tad bit harder than it seems on the TV, and it seems in the magazines and through the radio. No, a lot harder. I said that in jest.
Yeah, because it just looked like.
Oh, it looks like these guys can just get up there and go
Right, exactly.
twang the guitar, man, and keep yourself in shape and look good after 14 months and do your gig,
Okay, what do you have to do to stay in shape?
You got to think about it.
And what else?
It's
What do you have? Do you have a problem with staying in shape?
No, I don't. But I would. But our show is very physical. What we move a lot. That's what we like to do. And I used to be a jock in high school as well as a musician. So
What do you play?
basketball, and I would, I played football, basketball, and baseball one year, and then I stopped, and I just decided to focus my life in one direction instead of three, and I became better at one. You know what I mean? At basketball. Oh yeah, but then I quit that, and I just said, I said to myself, well, I'll never be a pro ball player, but I'll be a good musician.
Yeah. So, all right, wait a minute. I was going back to what are the things that you had to do to stay in shape. Okay, so you're naturally okay.
It has a mind of its own sometimes. Well, I mean, I actually, I am, my metabolism, I guess, or something. I eat like a horse.
You?
Oh, yeah.
And you drink a lot or
Not a lot, I mean,
no? Nobody smokes.
no. Al and Tico they quit this year. They quit this year because, the wind, just being winded.
So, okay, so you have to stay in shape. That's one thing you didn't think about.
Sure.
Okay, what else?
I definitely partied a lot harder when I was before this, because you don't, until you go on the road for 14 months, you don't know how much it demands from you,
You just must have no idea after a while, really, where you are. I mean, the longest time I ever, 4.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Well, no, see, we're so
I don't
busy.
mean playing. I mean.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. See, we're so busy that it's
What do you mean, during the days, every day?
every day. Or even
Kansas
days
City?
off. Kansas City, I got a tape and I'm in the studio. I'm mixing share. I'm putting a bass part or something. I got somebody doing something. Jon and I are always doing something.
Really?
Really, I'm telling you.
Is it very important for you, do you think, for you and Jon to write these songs and have other people record them and be considered as important songwriters? Just like in terms of your credibility as a musician.
You know,
want people to take you more seriously.
Absolutely,
right?
because of the stigma that was being placed on Jon because of his image, which, geez, he's a good-looking guy.
Exactly. What's wrong with that?
Things could be worse. I mean, it cheer down. I mean, it doesn't mean that he's that he writes a
Worthless song.
yeah.
Exactly.
No. And we did the thing with the record this year by not putting any pictures on the record and the whole thing. And the record company had this picture of us, and you take 5 guys with long hair and put too much makeup on them, and they look like chicks, and
You didn't have makeup on?
no,
Oh.
but what happens, like I said, being vulnerable and being a little bit naive at certain points, what happens is you listen to these people because basically you're in their hands as a record company, and you have to give them a bit. Yes,
you?
we do sometimes. You have to. You have to. To play ball with people, you got to give them what they want a little bit also. Oh, yeah. You know, so they took these pictures of us, like I said. And basically, we look like women, you know, and we said, what the hell is this, man? We can't.
Jon are really the only ones that look pretty. I don't know what this big deal is being made of everybody looking so pretty.
Well, maybe it's, jeez, I don't like
I
that.
don't think so. And I don't even think that much more, I mean, you're just better looking, say, than the guys maybe in Motley Crue or...
But that's here nor there.
But do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Well, what, I mean, hey, who knows?
Jimmy Page was very cute, and a lot of people thought Robert Plant was great looking, and Mick Jagger was cute, and Brian Jones was adorable. What's the big deal? John Lennon was sexy, and George Harrison was cute.
Believe me, I don't know, but it, you know, we tried to dispel that without putting any pictures on the record this year, and fought for it really hard. And thank God, our record company president stuck behind us, and
Yeah, but why?
Dick Asher, thank you.
Don't put the record
Everybody wanted to do it.
and you don't want to.
Of course not,
Why not, though?
because
Girls think you're cute.
no. But see, this is one thing. It's like, I know when I was a kid, I didn't want to look at pictures of guys looking better than the girl I was going out with. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, you look at even the guys from Poison, man. They have, you know, they look like chicks sometimes, you know? There's nothing wrong with that. That's what their whole vibe is about. Well, I don't know. I mean, did you look at some pictures, man? I go, well, when I didn't know them, I didn't know. But, you know, I mean, that's just, you know, that's just their vibe, and that's what they do. And what we do is something different, man. I mean, when you come over to John's house, you come over to my house, it's like, you know, you see a pair of short sneakers, a t-shirt, your hair back, and probably, you know, eating a hamburger and just being a regular dude. And people don't see that a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because they see the TV and they see... So now, I think that's what Wanted Dead or Alive, our video, kind of brought people inside. And we wanted to bring them a little closer to the band at that point, because they seen Living on a Prayer and You Give Love a Bad Name, and it was all basically just rock and roll. And Wanted kind of brought you behind the scenes. Like, our directors would wake us up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get the pass key, and you're in bed, man, and they're shooting you. You know, and you're like, Jesus, you know, you're hungover, and please, man, like, get away, you know? It was like, yeah. And it was the reality of it, what we do every day, the limousines, the vans, the planes, the people just going in and out of your life every day and things like that. And that's what goes on. And it was reality. I mean, I actually had people, after they saw the video, they felt sorry for us, man, which is like not what we wanted to happen. But because believe me, there's no feeling sorry for us here. I mean, we work hard and you know, that's it. But one night in Chicago, the ending of the video, we are just trashed, right? At that point, you know, you go through your periods on the road of getting over the hump and things like that. At that point, we were on the peak of the hump. It was like 9 months we had been out, and we're having a horrible time with our monitors, man. 3 nights sold out in Chicago. It was the 3rd night, and the monitors were just horrendous. The place was like an airplane hangar, you know, and it sounded pretty crappy. And we were just, it was such a battle that night because, you know, what we were hearing was just foreign, man. It was like demons, woo, flying, you know, and we were just looking at each other going, am I in tune or what's going on, you know? So it was like, and we came off a stage and it was just like, must have lost 7 pounds apiece. Sweat, aggravation, frustration in front of 20,000 kids, pressure, you know, the whole thing. And they caught it on film. And it was real because we were pissed off and we were frustrated, aggravated, you know, to be...
Was that on there?
Yeah, at the end, we're all just like, thank God the show's over. And that's exactly the way we felt at that point. It was like...
But you know what it looks like? It looks like that's what you feel like after every night.
Right.
I mean, it looks like you're just drained and completely...
At this point, that's what it is. After you get to a point of 12 months being on the road, you can't really do anything else but get yourself prepared to play. You know what I mean? You have to do a routine. You have to sleep this much so your voice is okay. Because we're not a band that uses tapes. You know what I mean? We do it live. You know,
What about John's voice?
Excuse me?
What about John's voice?
Hey, it gets rough at spots. All our voices get rough at spots. But I think copping out would be using the tapes. And,
No, I didn't mean that. I mean, have there been any nights when he hasn't been able to sing at all?
No,
Hasn't been had to cancel shows?
no, never.
What goes on the very second after you get off stage, when you go in the dressing room, shut the door, and no one can come in there? Like, right? No one can come in there?
No, not really. We usually have
You
a...
don't do that?
No.
This is what I've always wondered, because every band is like toweling off or whatever. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know...
some people are like 10 minutes before people come in or they come out, and some people are like 2 hours.
Well, basically, we shower. That's the first, you know, we get that out of the way. And, you know, we just basically just shoot the bull about, you know, what went on. And we videotape every night.
You do.
And we look at it, and that's how we get better.
Every night?
Every night.
Have you always or just recently?
Always.
From the beginning, when you were opening for 38th Street?
Opening for the Scorpions. 4 years ago. That's the way you make it. No. You know, it's like we look at them after the gig. You know, in the bus, we used to, you know, be on the road, and every night we'd sit on the bus and talk about how the gig went.
Do
And
you think that this was a very calculated success?
no, not at all. We had no idea.
But I mean, you did all that. You watched the tapes.
Oh well, I mean that's
You all
just.
had enough experience being in other bands.
But it wasn't calculated. It was calculated for us. It's because we wanted to make the show better. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we were going, well, this will work because it's going to get the female audience, or this will do that. We just did it because we wanted to better ourselves as far as, okay, you know, if we do this song here instead of this song here, and the pacing of the show, you know, it also has to consider when you do this and you have to balance everything out. Like, you know what I mean? Sure, maybe I would love to party every night.
Would you?
Maybe.
That gets better.
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather not say either way. But whether I would or not has nothing to do with what I should do, because the kids stand in line for 2 days to get my seats, you know, to get the tickets and see Bon Jovi play to the best of their capability. So you have to stop thinking about yourself and what you want to do at some points, because any relationship, that's the reason why, that's the word commitment to Bon Jovi and to this band, to each other, that we made in the beginning of this band when we got in it. Sat down at a table
You
and
did?
said, check it out.
All of you?
All of us.
Where?
In New York.
Where?
I think it was at our manager's office or something like that. And we sat down and we said to each other, look, man, we're going to do this. And marriages went to the wayside. Relationships went to the wayside. And we went out on the road.
Did you have women that believed in this that could stick through it? I mean...
Not me. I don't know. I mean, put it this way, man. I wouldn't want to be my girlfriend back then. You know, and I really didn't.
Your girlfriend back then must be pretty pissed off about your girlfriend.
Oh, she's kicking herself in the ass big
I
time.
mean, really, look what they missed.
But,
If they just have a little more faith.
Yep, and but that's, you get what you pay for. You know what I mean?
If you could change one thing about all this, what would you?
One thing.
Or anything. I mean,
a few
whatever
things.
Yeah.
A few things. One thing would be, if, you know, sometimes now, when we were coming up, we had more of a chance to get on the street. Like you said, the privacy level is just so astronomically different now, and that, you know, the minute there's one, there's 500 now. Before, I could sit in a bar and talk to somebody, or sit in a diner and talk to a kid for 15 or 20 minutes as a normal human being, man, and sit there and pick his brains and say, well, what do you think about that, you know, and how do you feel about this, you know, and actually sit there and, you know, he would walk away fulfilled and happy that he talked to me, and I would walk away happy too. Now it's just not that way, because, excuse me, it's,
You really
you know,
miss that?
yeah, because that's how we got some of the songs for this record. Well, we used to, I think somebody asked us today in this interview
Yeah, it's-
about the pizza jury. It's the truth, man.
Let
The
me
kids
ask
pick
you,
some
do you
songs.
think those kids tell you the truth?
You could see it. You don't have to. They don't have to.
They don't
They don't
have
have
to
to.
ask
They
us.
don't have to speak, man. You look somebody in the eye, man. They're telling you the truth, and you could see it if they're bullshit. You know.
I mean, I would imagine some of them would have just been so amazed to be in your presence.
Yeah, but not when. See, that's what I'm saying. Not when you're. No, you know, not when you're really, you know, considered you know, Bon Jovi sneakers. You know.
Right before this album, you were not considered that.
Absolutely not.
I
Absolutely not. Oh, absolutely.
So this time last year, you could do any of that stuff.
Sure.
What were you doing last August?
I was on the road. I was on the road
What
last.
will you be doing next August?
I'll be on the road. Hopefully.
You think?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, it. I don't know. We want to get out in '88, though. I know that much. Mhm. Yeah, probably. You know, I have no idea what the schedule is going to be. It depends on the music, like I said. I don't.
The other thing is, do you think as much as you may have had an overload of it, and by now you're just like blotto and not even know whether you're coming or going from 12 months of this or whatever it is, I think after a couple of weeks of being off the road, you might like kind of not know what to do with yourself, or that you're addicted to that.
We'll be working, obviously.
Or you'll be writing and getting ready.
It happens now when I'm sitting alone for an hour. The guitar's in my hand and I'm working.
That's how you relax?
Yeah.
Do you relax at all?
Oh yeah.
You watch
You know what?
television?
When I get onto the stage, I go,
Really?
cool. Like, well, everything that we do leads up to that. I think making the records, writing the music, and going through doing the videos, going through all the traveling and doing everything is because we take it to the people, and that's where we're comfortable. We've always been that live thing, and I think that's important.
What else do you do though,
As far as what?
except this?
Nothing.
Read, watch television, watch movies?
All of them, but nothing diligently.
No.
No.
What was it like working with Cher? Were you in the studio when Cher?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
No.
Yeah, we did.
You produced it? Or you
We
just-
produced it, yeah, and wrote it. Yeah, wait to hear it. It's really good. I'm really proud of
You
it.
didn't write Bang Bang?
No, but we arranged it so differently. It sounds
How differently?
very different.
I mean, did you Bon Jovi-ize it or?
A little bit, but no, it's still her. We had to work on. That's always the great thing about doing it, because we had to work on making it sound like Cher and not us. And I think we achieved a good level of that. That was the challenge of it, and she was great. Oh yeah, she was great. It was she's a real person, and it was like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's happening? Hey, Cher, come on in here, have a beer, and let's talk about what we're gonna do. It was really, that's the way we do it. And if it was any different, we wouldn't have done it, probably, because we're busy, and basically we don't need any extra curricular aggravation, so.
Are you as starstruck as Jon seems to be?
As far as what?
I mean, he's just in awe of so many other musicians. His face lights up when he talks.
Absolutely. We try to get to see as many.
People or
No,
different genres?
I have different, like, I'm a Led Zeppelin freak and a Beatle freak, and Jon was basically started at a different point. I'm a few years older and started, maybe, I might have been a bit more of a hippie, a young hippie, and a little bit more open and freer with what I was doctrined in, I guess, in rock and roll and in music. So it was a little bit, I'm a Peter Gabriel freak. I got to meet him on my birthday this year in Toronto, and it was just tremendous for me. I mean, I lost my mind.
Was he nice?
It was the best. He lost his mind too, because he didn't think, like, I guess, you see Bon Jovi, and like I said, that outward image he wouldn't expect me to. I told him it was my birthday, and I told him, I said, I gave him this crystal that an Indian artist had given me, and I gave it to him, and I said, you've been a friend of mine and you haven't even known it. And he was very touched, and then we talked for 15 minutes about the business and things like that, and it was like I made a real friend, and it was really good. He knew that I was very sincere about what I was saying, and I was serious, man. I had things to say, and it was really good.
Do you think it's interesting that, you're talking about Zeppelin, and I know I traveled a lot with them, and they really had a problem with the press during their entire career.
See,
Kids loved them,
yeah.
and critics never took them
Yeah.
seriously. And now they could be the biggest band in the world
That's
again. You know
sure.
what I mean? It's like certainly withstood the test of time.
I was actually on Swan Song Records for a period of time on a band that was never released called Mercy. No, probably never. I used to, matter of fact, I I was in a band. It was essentially a heavy metal band, kind of like Uriah Heep. And we were doing very well at that point. And then I was young, God. I was a teenager, and I was ready. You know, I thought everything was really happening. And then, you know, Jon Bonham died, and record label basically moved. And
Did you have a lot of disappointments like that?
oh yeah,
Really?
sure,
How
tons.
How many of them? Like when you thought something was going to happen and then it didn't
Many.
happen?
15, easy. 20. Oh yeah, I mean talking showcased with so many different bands. I was in a band right after that called Duke Williams in Extremes on Capricorn Records, which is now defunct. Yeah, Allman Brothers label. And it was a funk fusion type of band with horns and really black and things like that. And I learned a ton from these guys. As I say, I diversified my life and my musical upbringing, and I still do sessions for some of the producers and things that I used to do. I did a milk commercial. I did, you know, like Broadway stuff. I needed experience, you know, and I lived with my parents at that point, so the money was just, you know, I got to go and have friends.
You didn't do it in the past year.
Not real. I mean, I've done some sessions, yeah, but not for the money. I did a session for a new artist on CBS. I don't even know who it was for, but Tony Levin played bass on it from Peter Gabriel's band, and some English studio musicians. And then I did a thing for somebody, I don't even know the guy's last name. His first name was John, and it was an engineer friend of mine that I used to work with a lot, and he called me up. I happened to be in town on a day off. And he said, would you come in and play on this for me? And I said, that'd be my pleasure. And Omar Akeem happened to be playing the date, and, you know, so, I mean, it was a great learning experience.
That's fun for you to be sort of in that kind of musical community.
Oh, absolutely. You learn from everything. If you keep your eyes open, man, you don't. I was in college, man, and I was going to college, and I got a break to play some sessions, right? And I left school. I wouldn't advise that to anybody else, but my mother almost killed me, and my dad almost killed me. And, but I left, man, to take the shot. And it took me this long, since I was 18. Stabbing at every different band and every gig that I can get my hands on, man. I did everything. I played weddings, I played sessions for whoever I could do.
What kind of songs did you play?
Oh, horrible songs, no.
Sunrise, Sunset, I mean,
All that stuff I
feeling.
played with a society orchestra, which was like all these older musicians that taught me a great amount about poise and how to lay back and let other people play and listen. See, that's what it takes to be a band that a lot of people don't understand. You could be the best guitar player in the world and the best this and the best that in the world. But it's the combination and the fact that you respect the guys that you're playing with and listen to them. And when it's your turn to wail, you wail. But then when it's their turn to wail, you accompany them the best you can. So you have to, as well, to be in a band, you have to be a good listener as well as a good player. You know, and that's very important. Combination has to be correct.
Was this the best time of your life?
Absolutely. Not even there's not even a second pause, you know. There's not a second pause. I enjoyed everything, man. I used to play in blues bars and the ghetto every Wednesday night for 2 years.
Were you always
Make
kind of
$30.
even-tempered and good mood and positive?
Yeah.
Do you have real bad moods?
I
Dark period?
well, not you know. I mean, everybody has their moods, but mine are more daily than periods. You know what I mean?
What does that mean, temper?
Yeah, because when, you know, my emotional dark periods was those times that we were talking about that, you know, when I'm on basically Swan Song Records and things are going well, and then all of a sudden the bottom drops out. And then I'm touring with Duke Williams and Extreme and the bottoms drops out. Right after that, subsequently, I met a businessman and I started my own independent label with him and hired a band and all that kind of stuff, and that was called Message. And played with Joe Cocker and, you know, did things like that spread myself out. And if either one of those things would have hit, my life would have been on a different path. So all those things that went down, I learned a tremendous amount from. And then from losing your heart, you learn a lot too, if you're smart. I really believe that. Yeah, I do. I think that that stuff happened for a reason, and that, I mean, I think that if I didn't learn from that period on Swan Song or anything like that, that my attitude might have been a bit different, and that it might have, you know, affected the way I think now. I think that the reason why everybody is so level-headed in the group is because we've all gone through that. I think everybody's gone through that period, maybe some more than others.
Who the most?
I don't know. I maybe, you know, I don't know. I mean, daily you go through that sometimes still. You know what I mean? You know? You know, I mean,
Still, in what way?
if something goes the way it's not supposed to.
Like what?
You walk on stage and your monitors don't work and you're in front of 20,000 people. You know, it's all been, all of this, your whole life has led to this point in your life, and you get on stage and something you have no control over happens. You're a wire singed or something, you know what I mean? Can really, you know, affect the way, you know, you feel.
One more thing. What challenges you next? Aside from just making better music, being considered a really credible songwriter, doing more of this, staying in that position, or continuing to play for people?
Continuing this and handling it and being able to, you know, say, look in the mirror and say, hey, Rich, you're a good guy, you know, and see, the values of our band internally on a personal level have stayed the same. Like our friendship is still important to our music, because you can't make good music, you know, I mean, good feeling music if you don't feel good about each other and things like that. You know what I mean? So we're still able to look each other in the face, man, and talk to each other man to man and say, okay, what'd you think about the Met game last night? You know what I mean? Or you want to go and get a burger at McDonald's, you know? And like I said, you know, put the hat on, you're in, you know. But, you know, that's what I mean. Those values, moralistically, and the way we try to treat the kids and the fans and everything like that, like that, the respect level, you know what I mean, is still the same between us and towards the people that we work with and the people who, you know, keep us alive and buy tickets.
How are you going to be able to continue that relationship with the fans as you, by very nature of your fame, grow further apart from them? You have to be more detached. You can't hang out with them the way
No, but we can get closer through the music, and that's.
But how are you going to be in touch with what you think that they want to hear?
We're living in New Jersey, man.
Right, it's in the air, right?
It's in the air, man.
Okay. Where are you from? This is now on.
Edison, New Jersey. Exit 10.
City a lot?
No, not really.
Really, no. It's really, I keep thinking people from New Jersey or Connecticut must come here all the time, but it's like a different world. Isn't
It's a definite. I mean, I would come into the village a couple of times. Really never came in.
Let me ask you something. This is something I was just asking Richie as well. But how do you think it's possible for the band to maintain the kind of ties with its fans that you've prided yourself on having with this kind of fame and success?
Well, it depends on the situation. If there's 600 people there, we can't say hello to 600 people. But if there's 4 people there, we could say hello to 4 people.
But I don't even mean that. I don't even mean like signing autographs or saying hello. I mean just being in touch, knowing what it is that they want to hear, and I don't even mean the pizza parlor,
Yeah.
really. You know, I'm just saying like knowing. You know what happens sometimes when you get really famous and you get insulated from the world because you have to go through kitchens and can't hang out
That's
in the
right.
bar? Like that.
That's a tough one. I guess just being streetwise, because we were from the street for so long,
Yeah.
so we know about it. And just the experiences of playing. I mean, you got to remember that. Just to look when you're up on stage and look into somebody's eyes, you know if things work and if they don't work, and you sort of know what they want and what they don't want.
Do you think there gets to be a point where they'll just take anything you give them and they don't know the difference? Just because they've been told by their friends, this is the #1 album, this #1 single, get into this band, they're great. They get into the band, they like the band, and it becomes so big, then you can't get tickets to your shows anymore. And by the very nature of that, do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's like they just would love anything you do.
Well, there's still, I mean, I guess you can, the cool thing about the Beatles, what they did was they took their fans somewhere. You know, one record came out and it was like 2 songs of the last step, and then they went somewhere else, which was always a neat thing.
Is that what you're going to try to do?
Well, we got to grow, and we have to move somewhere. We're not going to all of a sudden become a disco punk band or something like that. You know, it's not like us to do that. But we're definitely going to move and grow. Because this was really the first album where we had fun. Last year was hell.
You mean the first tour where you had fun?
No, just actually making the record. That's why this all came together. Because the last record was tough with producers, and it just wasn't any fun. And this record, Bruce Fairbairn was great. And he just went, have a ball. And there was no hired musicians or anything, and we just came in and knocked it off. And he believed in us, which is a little different. The last producer was like, go ahead, be good, I dare you. Lance Quinn. And it wasn't his fault because he was doing too many projects, and he was just nuts. And it was in between your first and your second record, you can't have any breaks. You have to work real hard and get right into it. And this one, the stage was set. We just went in. We went into writing and just worked and worked and worked and waited until it was ready. And played the entire world and set up that foundation, and then this year it just came all together. And it's really the tip of the iceberg. Then next year it's just going to continue on.
In terms of being challenged and moving on and taking the audience with you, is that something you feel really strongly about? I mean, do you get pissed off about people thinking, or maybe some of the press that's written, kind of things like if you have an original idea, they didn't show it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even believe the time still writes reviews of rock concerts.
I know. And the cool thing is you can tell exactly when they leave. Because they'll comment about the last song and then they're out of there.
The last song?
Well, their last song.
Oh.
They'll like say something about Never Say Goodbye, and that's the end of the piece. You go, I know they split right after that. Because they listen to Beethoven and all that kind of stuff.
No, I don't listen to Beethoven. I don't know what they listen to. Elvis Costello, I think.
They have no class. No, I can't say that.
Exactly. It would be nice if they listened to Beethoven.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, does it bother you, that kind of stuff? I mean, as a musician, do you feel that you're not appreciated properly?
No, not at all. Because I don't take those things in vain at all. I look at the kids, and we play, and if there's 19,000 kids loving you and going sick and putting their hands up, and just loving what you're doing, and you're loving doing what you are doing, then this person's not going to ruin my day.
Okay. If you got a good review in some of those publications, would you worry, or would it please your ego?
I've read good and bad, and I guess we're somewhere in the middle. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah. When you dreamt of whatever you wanted to happen to you, music-wise, was this it? I mean, like, as far as you could see, playing Madison Square Garden, playing Giant Stadium, having #1 album, single, what? Or less than that, playing Great Adventures. You know what I mean? Like what?
Well, a neat thing was a lot of my friends went to the show in the Garden and also at the Meadowlands. And one of my good friends who I was in the first band with, we used to go to concerts all the time. And I used to always say, I wish I was sitting down there looking up. Now I am. I mean, it's the best thing.
Sitting down where? You mean you wish you were there?
I wish I was on stage.
On
I mean,
stage.
sitting up in the
You were
audience.
sitting up
Oh,
in the
yeah.
audience. See, I'm always thinking of people sitting down.
No, I never had floor seats. I always had like the back seats. And the first concert I ever went to was Kiss.
Which one?
1976. I
Can you
was.
just, I'm sorry.
19.
Start again, the first concert.
The first concert I ever went to was Kiss at the Garden.
I don't want you to have to lean forward. Lean where you feel comfortable and just stick that in your face. Go ahead.
Kiss in 1976. I guess I was 13. Right? 75, 76.
How old are you now?
25.
Yeah. 75, 76. Well, they started in 72, 73, 74. They played the Garden maybe 76.
I think it was then because I still had the program from home. I was in the last 2 seats in the Garden. And just saying, I mean, I would love to be on that stage playing.
And you were playing then?
Yeah. I've been playing since I'm 7.
Really? Did you have lessons and all that? I mean, you were
Classically,
trained and all?
yeah,
You
at
could
7.
Play anything? I mean, Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, all that, so you can really
Chopin.
play all that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, how great. Do you ever?
Yeah. All the time. I always practice before the shows. I'm playing for a
Really?
couple hours, yeah. Because I don't want to lose the chops.
And did you also play in some like Holiday Inn Lounge things, Hidden Feelings? Or is
I
that
did everything.
exaggerating?
No, I did everything. I
That's
played.
amazing. What kind of life is that like for people? Like an old guy doing that. What is that like?
It's actually an enjoyable thing because the one thing that music gives you, or playing an instrument, that nobody else has, is you can sit there and make music. And it's one of the most enjoying things in the world. It's you just sit down and you're only as good as you practice. It doesn't lie. It's the most honest thing on earth. I mean, there's 88 keys in front of me.
Well, wait a minute, what about your talent?
Well, there's practice. I mean, there's talent, but then you have to bring that talent somewhere.
Yeah.
You have to practice and practice and practice. And that's the coolest thing about it, is that 88 keys is still there, and it's been there for 300 years. And the only thing that changes is you. So that person playing in there is enjoying himself. I went to this place, Jake's in Asbury Park, and there was this old guy playing, and he was great and just loving it. See, that's the cool thing about music. It's not, maybe their life isn't grandeur and great and everything, but at least they're enjoying themselves.
You think they're not depressed? They don't have dreams of something greater, and they just like have to go schlep there every night and play feelings for people who are drunk and picking up. No, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. For some, I guess it depends what you want it for. If you wanted to get into it to be a rock star and be in a huge band and everything, then I guess it's not your dream. It's not.
How did you feel doing it?
I made $40 for 3 hours. I thought it was pretty cool.
Really?
And it was one of the best lessons, because you just kept playing, and everybody would come up to you and say, not so loud, it's just background music, and you play all this.
What was the most adventurous you ever got in any of those places? What was like the most wild thing you ever played? Like, did you ever one night just go crazy and start playing Tutti Frutti?
Oh, yeah, just to piss everybody off.
Really?
And my last days, I would
Really?
always, just play boogie woogie rock and roll.
Uh-huh.
Great Balls of Fire and all that kind of fun stuff. And they actually liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there like a lot of drunken salesmen and conventioneers and things like that?
No, the places I played was more dinner places. I was dinner background music.
What did you wear?
I had to wear a tie and suit. I hated it.
How old were you?
I first started when I guess I was doing those gigs around from 17 to 20. Still playing rock and roll, but like on nights off, I would go to small restaurants and just make some money. I was in school, yeah.
So this was like after?
Yeah. Friday, Saturday night if we weren't playing, just to make some extra bucks. Ninotchkas in Perth Amboy used to play in the window. Yeah.
Window?
Yeah.
What do you mean the window?
They had like a little window bay with a piano in there, and you used to have to play like Happy Birthday and all that
What was your hair
horrible
like?
stuff. Short, a little shorter, curly.
So
I was more
wait.
conservative.
So, all right, so we'll back up a second. So you were doing all this stuff, and you were dreaming of one day being on the stage in Asbury. How did you think you'd get there?
Well, Johnny and I teamed up when we were 16, and the first band I was in was when I was 13.
But did you think you'd do it with him?
Yeah, I always believed in him.
Really? Why? Did you just think he was a star? Did you just think he was driven? What did you think?
I just think he was driven, and he just had that look in his eye. He was just driven. And we used to play 5 nights a week, come home from high school at 7 in the morning, have to get up, or 5 in the morning, have to get up at 7 for school. And I would do it, and I had the van. I used to drive the van with all my keyboards, load everything in. I'd be the first guy there and the last guy to leave. But I believed in it. I believed in the project so much, and Jon, and just stuck with it. And then he went his way to do some original stuff, and I studied piano for Juilliard. I wanted to go to that school for a while. That was one of my dreams. I said, okay, I'll give up the rock and roll stuff, and I'll just try to be a serious piano player.
And what would that mean? What would that entail? Where can you go with that? I mean, Carnegie Hall, recitals?
Yeah. And at that point, I was practicing 8 to 14 hours a day I put in 2 years. Just for the...
At Juilliard or just for the
No,
audition?
just on my own for the audition.
And what happened?
And right before, there was a couple months after the auditions, and Johnny and I went out to California, and we supposedly got this record deal. So I blew off the old, the clean living life and said, I want to play rock and roll and have fun.
So wait a minute, so you never took the audition?
I took the audition,
Did you
but,
pass it?
yeah,
So
but
they
I didn't go to
accepted
the
you.
school. Yeah, but I didn't go to the school.
You regret that?
No, not at all.
When you say clean living, you rejected the clean living life.
Well,
what does that mean?
I guess, well, to be a classical pianist, first of all, I've been playing for, at that point, 15 years. And, I wouldn't have made it for another 15 years of serious practicing.
Really?
Yeah,
It's really like that?
it's serious.
But aren't those people all sick? I mean, isn't that life in its own way just berserk?
It's berserk.
You know,
It's totally
I mean,
berserk.
Like ballet dancers are the craziest people I know. They're really a bunch of nutcases and
It's
drug addicts. And
totally dedicated to your art. You're nuts.
Insane. Yeah.
Well, I've been playing since I'm 7, and at that point, I said to myself, I still have to practice here for like 7,000 hours for a 10-minute audition. But I'm a driven person. When I want something, I get it. And I did it. I mean, I stopped everything I was doing, and I just sat at the piano for...
How'd your family feel about this choice?
They've been very supportive, always.
They wouldn't have preferred you going to Juilliard?
Whatever I wanted to do,
Really?
because I was always... I mean, to put in 14 hours a day for 2 years,
Do you come from a wealthy family?
middle class,
So you were comfortable. There wasn't
Yeah.
really a struggle involved.
no.
And so were you spoiled, do you think? with Jewish
Semi, yeah, a little Jewish. No, I had a good life. No, we're not using
No,
that.
no, it's all right. I let them know. Go ahead.
Not spoiled, but my father was he was a trumpet player, so he always pushed me.
For what?
He actually played with Hot Lips Page.
Really?
Yeah. In the 40s, I guess that was, when he was like 18.
So does he have great stories?
Yeah, he's got some pretty neat stuff. He started me on trumpet when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
I still can
What
pick it
other
up and play.
instruments do you play?
I played violin for a while, bass violin, anything I can grab.
So you're really musical. I mean, this is just didn't happen to stagger into this thing. And,
No, didn't stagger into it, but I mean, this situation was when we said we were going out and we did the first record. We were only together for a couple months because Jon and I put together 8,000,000 bands. We had tons of people in the band. We were Jon BOn Jovi and the Wild Ones. I think we were the Letchers I was a Wild One, I was a Letcher, I was everything. And the first
it was
person...
always Jon BOn Jovi and...
Yeah. Except for, like, the first band was Atlantic City Expressway. But then it got to the point, he did a thing with the rest, and then he went his way. And then we tried to put together a band. And this formation, we were together a couple months, and then we did the first record. And Doc just sent us out, to work and work and work and work.
Were you making money at first? Like how much?
Like nothing.
Like $25 a night?
What, when we were first starting in this band?
Yeah.
We weren't making it by the night. I think we got a salary that was recoupable. We had to pay it back. So it was nothing. I mean, when I first started playing in the
Well, how
bands,
did you sign with Premier?
they booked our first tours.
They did.
Yeah, but we played. First, we started in clubs. Our first club tour, we did 28 dates in 30 days, and the 2 days we had off was from Toronto to Denver in a bus. Thanks. I came home 150. I was almost dead, and then we went right on tour with the Scorpions. And we didn't make any money with them. We just went out, and it was the best lesson. The money wasn't. We weren't there for that. We were there to learn how to be a touring rock and roll band. 5, 6 months.
And then what? 38 Special was right after that?
No, this was the first year.
So this is now the third of the touring, right? Or the fourth? I can't
Third.
remember. Yeah.
Because we did a major tour with the Scorps, then we did last year the major thing with Rat, and then this year, right before this tour, we did 38 Special.
But when you think about it, okay, it's 4 years, but a lot of bands...
A lot of bands do years and years and years.
15, 16, and then they break up when they make it. I mean, I'm just thinking of Jay Giles really off the top of my head, but were you prepared to do a lot longer? If you had to? Now, if this album hadn't hit the way it did,
Just go on,
what would have happened?
keep playing, and come up with the next one.
Now
That's the one thing about music is it's such a fickle business. You don't know if you're ever going to make it. There's no guarantees. There's no anything. And some people, like you said, that person may be playing that club when he's an older person, didn't get his dream. But if you just try hard, sometimes it comes true. I mean, I'm the luckiest kid on earth. I worked hard, maybe just as hard as anybody else did, but we got it.
Now that you got it, now what?
Now's the time to work.
Now you scared?
Not at all.
Or you gonna lose it?
Not at all.
No.
Well, maybe not scared, but inspired to work more and not sit on your heels and go, okay, we made it, so that's it.
Just keep churning out the same thing.
Right, now it's time to be creative, see why it went there, what happened, and then move on.
But sometimes you can't really figure those things out, can you? I mean, you can't figure out how.
Nobody says you're right, but you have to have some kind of definition in your head. Timing and a foundation and good songs and good material. We had the foundation. We were ready. We were definitely ready because we opened up for everybody, and we we played the entire world, which some bands don't do. They'll play the United States. We played everywhere. And we were actually bigger in Europe than in America because we just went over there and played and played and played and played. So we can play live. We can back a lot of bands can't back their material up, but we could. So when we went into the studio, this was more of a live record. There's no tons of overdubbing, there's nothing. And the timing was great because nobody was out. Nobody was out when we came out. It was perfect timing. Van Halen had just split up, which left, there was just gaps and openings for us, and the timing was right. And there were good, real good songs, and the record is good. I genuinely like it.
Do you still feel that there's a ton of musical stuff that you have yet to unleash on people?
Tons.
Like, do you feel
That's
like- Go ahead, I'm sorry.
that's a neat part with Richie and I, the way we work, is we make the music. Behind the lyrics and everything else, there's guitar but there's drums and the bass to keep that happening. But we can go on and do different kind of stuff. I can play piano parts or organ parts or synths, and it's just, the tip of the iceberg for that.
What about the writing? Now, are they mostly just writing themselves, Jon and
Um,
Richie? I mean, how do you feel about?
I got one song on a B-side in England called Borderline. And this year, last year I wrote the first single. And this year we wrote a ton of songs, but mine didn't make it to the record.
Is that a problem?
Not really.
It's not.
No, because whatever is good for the record makes it.
Who decides?
You know.
Really?
You just know.
I remember talking with the police. And well, we brought these songs in, but comes in with a message in a bottle or Roxanne, what are we gonna say?
Yeah, that's it.
It's like that. So.
And plus for me, this year maybe I didn't write a lot of songs, but I still wrote all my parts, which is a hook, and to me that is a song, because it's still music.
You don't foresee any problems in terms of songwriting credits and publishing and all of that kind of stuff. You're not into that.
No, I mean that doesn't bother me. I have a ton of ideas, and I bring them to Jon, and I say, here's these ideas, let's work on them, and he's willing to work.
Is it very acknowledged, really, that Jon is sort of the leader of this band?
Yeah.
Do you think that bothers anybody?
We look at it
Egos being as they are.
Egos being as they are, we look at it as sort of a football team. And the quarterback has the ball, right? And he can't win if nobody's blocking for him or if he has nobody to throw it to. But he's still the quarterback. And he listens to his team because it's a team that wins. And that's the one thing with us, is it's a team. And he's got great ideas. He is the quarterback. He holds the ball. And I can't say to myself, well, I'm not the quarterback, but I'm not going to kill myself trying to be, because I'm not. That's not my gig. I'm happy being, the blocker, being part of the team. I'm a team player, which works. I mean, it definitely works. We take pictures as a band, we talk as a band, and it's just there's more facets for kids.
But are you talking lately more as a band than you used to?
When it first starts out, there's a focal point. There's always the lead singer's focal point. And thank God we got a star. I mean, there's a lot of bands who don't have, their lead singer isn't a star.
Who?
I mean, I'm not, even, but he's,
Anyway, do you want to make any other kind of album that you feel you can't make within Bon Jovi that you would ever want to do on your own someday?
it hasn't been a topic on my mind that's very strong at this point. I want to keep going with this project heavily. But, not really. Like movies, I guess, or something like that, because I'm still...
I mean,
Soundtracks, because I like to play with emotions. That's the one thing with piano, is you can create emotions.
Right.
And keyboards, you have strings, you have voices, you have everything at your hands. Which is what I did on this record. Like for Living on a Prayer, that intro I came up with, which wasn't even part of the song, but it created so much tension that it was right, and we put it on. I like to do that, get that kind of, you're just waiting for it to let go, and then it lets go, and you're, and here's the song.
What's your life like now? Where do you live?
Now I live in a box. I'm out on the street. I moved out of my apartment, and I'm waiting to get into my house. But I'm not in the house yet, because it's not going to close until after we're out of the country.
Right.
So I'm living in Tigo's basement right now.
I see. Do you live by yourself?
Sort of.
What does that mean?
I don't.
You don't want to talk
No.
about it? All right, so scratch that. Do you feel that when the band got really successful, that it wreaked havoc with your personal life? Did it change a lot of your relationships and cause problems with people that were in your life that weren't ready to?
Not really.
With your being away or something?
Not really, because we've been away.
Well, okay, how about when you first had to start going away?
Well, when I first started going away in '83, I mean, you just lost. We just went on the road, and we were gone.
And you lost everything?
Well, you didn't.
Girlfriends, relationships?
Everything,
okay.
yeah. And you just went out and just, this is our family. And now when we come back, like people say, well, now you're successful. We haven't been home. I come home on a couple of days, like in between the shows, and it's pretty neat, now you get recognized at home, and I'm tickled about it.
You like that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty
It
neat.
doesn't hassle you? You feel a loss of privacy or something like that?
No, not that bad. Not at all. I mean, for John, it's a little tougher. But for me, it's not that bad.
Well, you could probably just put the hair...
If you just hide your hair up.
How do you hide that hair?
I'll never tell.
I mean, that's really a whole number, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get to stuff the hair up under something.
But you just hide that, and you can live normal.
But has your life changed? I mean, well, you don't even really know yet because you've just been on this road for so long.
We've been on the road. I don't even know.
Do you think you're addicted to being on the road? Do you think you're going to get home and you're going to be bored?
I'm not going to know how to live.
Exactly. I mean, you're really going to, freak out if we too bright?
Well, the first year we had 4 days off.
Oh, come on.
We came home. We took 4 days, and we started writing right after that.
But that's not the same. Writing is not the same.
Every day. Hitting at it every day.
Yeah.
And then going right into the studio. And then the next year we had 10 days off. So I said it's only getting better then for days off. And we're right out on the road, so I really don't know what it is to be home.
Looking forward to it or not?
I'm looking forward to just resting. I mean, that's going to be a cool thing. We're going to go around the world
Tired?
now. I'm tired.
Exhausted. Totally
Not
drained.
exhausted.
I mean, you're about to go to Australia and Japan. How could you all be exhausted?
Not exhausted, I'm tired.
You can sleep on the plane.
I could sleep on the plane. And plus
It's a 14-hour trip.
it's hard playing at home. That's the big thing. We finish off at home. And it's so hard because you have relatives, tickets,
It's
and
like an Italian wedding.
it's like an Italian wedding because you're on stage and you're not. I'd rather play Biloxi because you can do what you do. But I'm thinking on stage, I'm playing, I'm going, okay, is my mother in? Is this person in? If they don't get in, she's going to kill me. This person's going to kill me. Did I get this right? Did I got limos coming here? It just drains you. It definitely drains you.
And you had 6 of them, didn't you?
Yeah.
Now, did they come to all of them?
But
You
most of
slept
them.
Everywhere, Nassau, the
A
Netherlands,
lot.
and the Garden?
A lot. So it's just
Biggest
draining.
nightmare, tickets, of
Yeah,
course.
tickets.
Tickets and passes.
And how you going to say no to your uncle? No,
And
you're
people
in.
that you never heard of also all of a sudden start to get your parents' friends. And
It's crazy.
What's the worst thing about all this for you?
I don't think there's anything too bad. Small hotel rooms pisses me off.
There are other things you hate in hotels, like when the phone's not next to the bed? Or
No, that doesn't.
faucets
It
are-
doesn't.
Little things like that.
Doesn't
don't
bother
drive
me.
you crazy?
No,
Well, how small are the rooms you're in?
I'm just kidding with you. We have nice stuff.
You must be in better hotels now than when
Yeah.
you first started out.
No
right?
days in anymore.
Did you ever used to share rooms now? You did?
Are you? Our first tour that
Well,
we
how'd you do
did,
that with 5 of you?
we slept in the bed on the floor.
What do you mean, not 5 in a room?
5 in a room.
No.
$16.
Where?
The days in.
Where?
We did our first thing for
D-A-Z-E or D-A-Y?
DAYS. The days in. We did.
D-A-Z-E.
We opened up for Eddie Money. That was our first thing we ever did as a band in a station wagon, and Richie Bozette, our tour manager, was driving.
You drove.
That's what we
to
did.
a station wagon.
We put our equipment on his truck. We had the band and 1 roadie.
This was Premier Book this?
This was Premier Book this. It was 2 guys in the front, 3 in the back, and Tico and Al were in the back. Al wasn't even playing. He had a wedding, so we had to get a fill-in bass player to do it. His sister got married, so he couldn't play the first couple of gigs. So they were having their feet hang out at the back of the station wagon. We would have to get to the gig, set up, because we only had 1 roadie. And when it was done, drive to the next place. Richie and I would be driving. And we would stay in, days in, take a shower. 5 of us in 1 room, $16, that's all we could afford. We started off where you're supposed to start off, on the bottom. And so when you get, I think it's been good though, because when we get to this point, I mean, now we're staying in nice hotels, but I remember those days and I remember all that struggle, and I say, thank God. I look at it, as a very humbling factor. Instead of taking all this stuff in for granted, I'm a thankful person for it and feel lucky. I mean, you got the talent and you have the work, but there's still only so many bands that make it.
Are there any people that you're sort of in awe of or starstruck by? I mean, Jon seems so, like you mentioned, some people's names and his whole face lights up. He gets like really carried away with it. Do you feel that way about anybody?
John Lord was always a cool person. Yeah. He was the reason why I got the record, Deep Purple, live in Japan. I went out and bought an organ because this guy was the coolest on earth. And in one of the polls in England, there was a big thing where in Kerrang, in the history of Kerrang, he was always #1, and I beat him out this year, and I was like, wow, man, that's wild. You beat out your heroes.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I met him at the Meadowlands, and couldn't even talk. I was just like awed, it's pretty wild.
How do you feel if people feel that way about you?
I guess you don't know what to feel because you're just a person. I mean, I'm just a person. I play what I play, and when people look up to you and they go nuts, it's sort of weird. It's a weird kind of feeling. I don't know what to feel. I just go, oh, how you doing?
I mean, somebody tells you that you've changed their life.
I know, and it's a weird kind. It makes you think that you got to be responsible. I guess in not trying to ruin somebody's life. You ruined my life. Hey, thanks.
Have you always been pretty sensible
Pretty much.
and intelligent and not insane and screwed up or any of that, or have you had like real bad periods of
No.
troubled times or problems with drugs or any of that?
No, reform school when I was 7, just
not
busting up those
serious.
bricks. That was about it. Chain gangs. No, not at all.
You do have quite a sense of humor, don't you? I mean, you're constantly joking. You've been very serious throughout this, but generally you are like sort of a
Yeah.
jokester, no?
I love comedians. I watch
Who do
every
you
one
like?
of them. Eddie Murphy is the best.
Uh-huh.
And Richard Pryor, I have every one of his records that he ever put out. I mean, nobody has his records. I have his records. Steve Martin. I have Steve Martin's first record, which came with a picture with a fish inside his suit. I still have that thing. The Jerk was my favorite movie on earth. I saw it 16 times. I
But
loved
you're
it.
constantly like quoting and cracking up, and do you keep them laughing all the
Oh,
time?
definitely.
I mean, that's very much like, does it alleviate a lot of the tension sometimes?
Always pop in a joke, and it alleviates a lot.
Is that natural for you to do? I mean, it's just you.
Yeah, I just look at life funny. It's a lot
Is
better.
it covering up for something else sort of darker and deeper and
No.
inside?
I figure it this way. You got to go through every day anyway. And you could look at it two ways, good or bad. So you might as well look at it good because it's going to be there. The next day's going to be there no matter, you're going to wake up. Hopefully. I guess there's some days where you don't, and then that's another story. But you're going to wake up and you got to deal with the day. So you might as well deal with it in a good, positive attitude and just mock it out.
You easy to get along with?
Yeah,
You don't
pretty
have
much.
temper tantrums by
I mean, I'm human. If I'm pissed off or something, I mean, I get that way. But generally, I'm pretty even-keeled.
Great. Anyway, you were saying that you don't think that the fans want to know.
Yeah, I really don't think
But
they
look at Wanted Dead or Alive on that video. I mean, you're showing real stuff.
showing them
behind
for the
scenes
first
and-
time.
Yeah, but so they love that, no?
Well, I spoke to a lot of people that loved it, but they didn't love it immediately, a lot of people.
Best thing you've ever done.
I thought it was great myself, but or people said, I love it, but I wanted to ask you about this. And
Really?
I wanted to, why did you look like, or dejected, or how come Johnny looked dejected, or stuff like that. They asked me questions about that, which they didn't ask about any of the other videos. So I think that they still didn't have, a really clue. I mean, they just thought it was put out the way the other one was, and maybe there was something that they weren't maybe getting, I think, maybe. And all of a sudden it hit them that it's just tired. And that's not, after we did it, we
Well,
looked at it
also-
too and said, it's great, we loved it, but we thought, it is a little bit serious and stuff. Did we want to be that serious?
Good. The thing is, I mean, actually, that one thing was shot on a night when you were pissed off because of the monitors, wasn't that the case?
Well, it was over a number of nights, and yes, we were having horrendous problem with monitors at that time.
But even if that hadn't happened, I think just the idea of showing what it must feel like when you get right off the stage.
Yeah.
Doing your kind
Oh,
of
when you
show,
get, that's
which is
right.
dead.
Oh, you are. You go in there and you sit down like this, and you just, catch your breath and get some Evian water down you, and just hang out for about like 10 minutes before you can move anywhere.
During those 10 minutes before you can move anywhere, do you talk to each other?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's like a family coming down at the kitchen table. I mean, every once in a while you may get down there and there's, everybody's talking about something, or they may not be talking to everybody individual, just certain people in the family. Or you may get down to breakfast sometime and nobody's talking to anybody. It's one of those things. It's just like being a family, and you do it so much that, it just happens to be what if there's an occasion, or if it's just tiredness, or if it's just that you didn't think it was such a great show, or it was a great show, and so you're all happy, or it's somebody's birthday and you're partying, you know what I mean? It's like that. It's really what particular mood everybody's in.
What do you think was the reason for this extraordinary success that the band had?
I think we all said this before, but I'm going to bottle it. Believe me when I say this. I am bottling it. It's going to work. All you have to do is go to the store, buy it, and open it up, and you will definitely become a success.
And what is it?
It's in the bottle. It's in the bottle.
I mean, we don't know.
I can't tell all the secret ingredients.
No, but you don't even know, do you?
Well, I don't know. A little bit of frog legs, so a couple of newt of wort newts.
Everybody's talked about the devotion to the fans, the wonderful relationship you have with the audience, the timing, the touring, rock and roll, but what? I mean, this is the most...
A lot of bands have had that.
Exactly.
Not that it's easy to get all of that at the same time.
So you think that's what it is?
I think that definitely helps. I've known some bands that have had that, though. And have,
Still not made it.
Or made it and then let it all go. So that's almost the same thing. I mean, they had it all,
No chance of that happening here.
No.
You
No.
still really like each other.
Plenty enough to play with each other every day. I mean, and I don't mean play with each other, I play with each other. Yes, it's like a family. It is like a family, and you get along. You know what I mean? It's like when to cut one of the other guys a little bit more slack occasionally than at another time. Maybe Richie's not in such a good mood one particular day, or he's tired, or maybe I'm not. Geez, Lord knows, you know what I mean? I get up, I got a hangover, man. I don't want to talk to nobody, or something like that. And so then you give that person slack. And if they say in marriages and the whole king and poodle, if you can cut somebody else some slack, and they cut you slack, you basically got it made, because then you don't, irritate the other person and get on their nerves. I mean, everybody has those little days. I mean, you can't put 5 people can't be exactly identical. If they were, then it wouldn't be cool anymore. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have the chemistry to begin with. There has to be the different chemistries between each people to make this work.
If you had to distinguish in like maybe one word the personalities of the 5 different people in the band, what would you say?
Well, I would say, at different times, they might be different. At this time, Jon is a little bit tired. He's not his bon vivant self, or as he sometimes is. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit tired, and he's thinking about Donington, and he's more, laid back a hair. Okay? Tico, this is a funny thing, because you just happen to catch this. This is like the end sort of as a tour, Some of the guys have bought some houses.
In general, then. Just in general.
In general, I mean, usually Johnny is...
Let's say I didn't know them. What would you tell me about them?
Oh, well, I would say that they're all the coolest dudes I know.
And each one is, like, how would you distinguish? I mean, like,
David's the funniest.
Hilarious.
Oh, yeah, he's funny. He makes you laugh right from the morning.
Right.
Richie is funny in his own way, but he's very generous, and he's also loves to have company at his house and stuff like that. Tico is he's an animal. And that's not. That's
You mean like
not
the way
a term.
drummers are? Or
Yeah,
just-
like the way drummers are. He's just an animal. He's almost a superhuman being. You know what I mean? To beat those things all night like that, it's really pretty wild thing to do. You know, he's got a heart of gold though. Heart of gold. I worked with Tico for many years, even in other jobs. Johnny is really talented, a little bit more quiet than the rest of us. And sometimes you don't know what he's thinking about exactly. And then yet sometimes you know what he's talking about, if he's like, or thinking about. Like if you see him with the guitar and he's, you know, he's going through some passages. You might not even hear what he's doing, but he's going through some passages and stuff. You know he's working on or looking for a particular chord to fit in with something that he's doing. And so, you know, then you will. But he's the quietest out of any of us.
And you?
Me, I was more wild, and I am not quite as wild. You know why? They latched onto my ass. They don't let me go out that much anymore.
Now, wait a minute. Let's just back up a second. What do you mean you used to be more wild?
Well,
How
because
wild?
I used to do
How
whatever I wanted.
Like, what does that mean?
You know, I got arrested for having a gun at Madison Square Garden the first time
What do you mean first time?
we ever played there.
You mean you walked in with the band?
Yeah, I went on
Right.
stage with a gun.
Why?
Well, because it was a curio gun. You know, it was a gun. It was given to me by my grandfather. I wanted to wear it, and it looked good, and I wore it.
Outside visible?
Outside.
And
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened? Someone came and arrested you?
As soon as I got off the stage, the police took me downtown.
What year?
84, I believe it was. We played
Oh,
open
okay.
for ZZ Top.
And you played the whole set with the gun?
Yep.
And no one in the band said anything to you, right?
Oh, no.
And nobody said you're going to have a problem with that gun? and you're-
No, at that
Did you
time,
have a permit for it?
you didn't need a permit for the gun because it was made in 1888. It was a
Ah,
curio. It was a Derringer. It was like a cowboy rock and roll Derringer.
Okay, so the police came and what happened?
Police came and took me downtown. Arrested my ass. That was it. I
Did
was
you know
gone.
this was going to happen?
No.
Did you think this might happen?
No.
You
I
were
actually
totally
thought that.
shocked.
I thought that I could be so cool that I could get away with it.
Okay, what else? What else happened to you? What were some of the wild?
Well, one of the times we went into Germany, right? We were backing up KISS, right, in Europe. And we get out of the bus. And I'm a little bit burnt, I guess, because we had to sleep on these buses that they have in England, which are not the most comfortable. I get up, I go, they have gambling here. I'm leaving. I get to the hotel. I split. I go to a gambling hall. Great. Had a beautiful time, 3-4 hours. Lost all my money. It was not bad, though. Walk outside, have no idea where the hotel I was at. Didn't take a book of matches, nothing. The hotel was probably only about 3 or 4 blocks from where I was, but I was totally lost. I walked around, oh man, my poor puppies were killing me, man. I walked around till daylight. Couldn't find it. Finally, I went up to a
What city
poster.
was this? I'm sorry.
It was in Germany. It must have been, could have been Hamburg or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what city. But I went looking for posters that had a KISS poster. And I saw what the name of the, well, because that's what we were opening for. So I found a KISS poster, and I looked at the date at where we were, and I looked at what place we were at. And, of course, I was broke, but I went to a taxi cab driver, and as good as I could, I said the name of the place we were playing at, the hall, the arena. So he took me there, and, of course, I didn't tell him I didn't have any money. So as soon as I got there, I told him I didn't have any money. I'm going inside to get it. This guy probably freaked, but I went inside. None of the band was there or anything because it was about maybe 12:30 in the afternoon. So I got one of the road crew guys to give me some money, and I paid the cab and everything like that. But boy, were the guys, they called up all the hospitals, everything. They were hot. So you see, then they started to like tighten the reins on me, as they say.
Did anything bad really ever happen? Like you
What do you mean by
blackout?
bad?
I mean, did you really disappear and never miss a show? Did you get like really
No.
crazy and like something had to be hushed up in any cities with any?
No, I have never missed a show.
But I mean, are you considered like the kind of? Were you sort of like like the trouble?
They would worry about maybe I would miss a show. I think to this day they think that I might miss a show. It's just something that's kind of hard to die. I mean, as far as that they'll, I think Johnny always in the back of his mind will have some kind of an idea that I'd miss a show. I've never
yet-
missed a show, and yet I've never missed a show even when I was playing clubs and stuff in New Jersey. I've never missed a show.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. So if you were at any point trouble, or if at any point you were considered trouble, how come you stayed in the band?
Well,
You know what I mean?
no, the
Like
question is
your
how
loyalty.
come they kept me in the
That's what I
band?
mean.
Oh, I don't know, you have to
Nice
ask
way to
them.
put it then. Well, what do you think?
Well, I think it was because they know that I'm real cool, so they figured they could deal with it. And I hadn't missed a show. Now, I didn't say that, if I ever did miss a show, that might be a different story.
Right. Okay, so now you've had to sort of tone down your act a little bit.
Yeah,
Because now
just-
there's real responsibilities here, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is a serious
You can't miss a
thing.
show.
Never
Even
even
as much
noticed
as
it.
I want. Last time I was in Jamaica, I fell off a motorcycle. Man, my leg was blown up about out to here. But I went on stage every day and did what I was supposed to
What
do.
other things have happened? Tell us
Just, those things
about
that
it.
happen.
Those rock and roll things.
Yeah,
That
those
don't
rock and
happen
roll
in
things.
a lot
that
of
happen.
bands anymore, though. It's gotten to be too much of a business, don't you think?
Well-
People don't have so much fun anymore. Do they?
We have fun.
You do?
Yeah, we have
I
fun
mean,
in our own
wild
way.
kind of fun.
You see, I think it was before, it was the thought that, management would go, you can't go here. And just because they said that, I would go. Now, management really doesn't say that to me anymore. So I don't go.
Well, do you feel that it was really on that level of being like the forbidden fruit, or being tempted, or just being a rebellious kid, or?
I think part of it
Reverse, or-
being rebellious, yeah, was, if somebody told me I couldn't go, that pissed me off, so I would go.
What's your personal life like? Did you have problems in relationships with people because of that?
No.
I mean, stubborn, want your own way?
I was always stubborn. It comes from a long line of Hungarian families.
When you first joined the band, you were married, right?
I believe I was still married then.
And that split up.
Yes.
Because of the band?
No.
I mean, because you had to be away?
No, I was away when I was in club bands. I was married to her for, I was playing in club bands when I was married. My wife, my ex-wife Susan, is a lovely girl. I brought her to one of the Meadowland shows because it was her birthday. And I just bought her a new car. I mean, we have a very, we're friendly, and she's a lovely lady, and
And you haven't
we just get along better not being married.
Not living together, or not
Or-
trying to live together.
yeah.
Do you have anybody else that you're involved with?
Not seriously,
So you still play around
absolutely.
compared to the others who seem not to. Three of the others
Oh,
do.
well, yeah, or
From what I can
something.
gather. Some combination.
Not
like that.
exactly sure.
But seriously, I mean, you were joking about it at the press conference, but don't you think life on the road has kind of changed a bit? People being a little bit more wary because of diseases and stuff like that?
Well, you definitely don't go looking for a girl that has track marks up her arm.
Did you used to?
No.
I didn't say mean you go looking, but I mean.
Well, now you take a look.
Exactly. But that's not the only thing. I mean, there's
That
things you
is
can't
not
see,
the only
you know
thing,
what I mean?
of course. But there is, of course, we're not as promiscuous, good word, as we were when we first started out. And I think it was also because we were just starting out, and it was that sort of easy and cool to just have women with you at any time and every time.
You mean just play that whole kind of rock star thing?
Yeah, and it was new to us, too. I mean, hey, it's pretty cool when you do it and you just go, hey,
You know, it's
And,
it was
women are
maybe
there,
when
you know?
were opening for ZZ Top in arenas, but I would imagine that even if you were playing in a club band in New Jersey, you're still the coolest thing in that
Absolutely.
club that night. So there's gonna be somebody-
absolutely. That's the way it was,
Yeah.
and that's how come we were so kind of well trained for this job. And I don't, and I mean it, with women, but even just trained to go out on stage without being nervous and stuff. We had played out in clubs for many years, and we just knew what to do. It didn't scare us to death or anything. We went out there and did what we did. We were never in bad bands. None of us were ever
Yeah,
in
you
bad
always
bands.
in cool bands.
We were always in good bands. I mean, I played with Richie before in bands. I played with Tico before. Oh, geez, I don't know. I don't think of all of them. I probably can't even think of all of them. But I did play
Like
with...
about more than 10.
I don't know about more than 10.
Cover band. What was the band? Didn't you play one cover band?
Yeah, I played in a band called Phantom's Opera. It was a huge cover band in the New York, New Jersey,
And
Connecticut
what,
area.
what things did you play? Like note for note?
Note for note cover, completely cover. We did like a lot of Judas Priest, Def Leppard at the time. We did Van Halen. We also did some of our own songs, and we did remakes of songs. Like we would make them real hard, like Nick Gilder's song, Roxy Roller, which is still a great song, especially we did it cool. And, you know, stuff like that. And we had a big production. We had, you know, fire and fireworks and the biggest PAs and stuff like that. And that was when there was clubs in New Jersey, though. So you could play, you could work. You couldn't do that today.
Do you think that bands, I mean, like, okay, the last decade, the last 2 decades, kids heard rock and roll and it changed their lives. And they wanted to be in a band and it was the coolest thing to be in and yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
All that fun. Now, I mean, also, I mean, when I was growing up, the 60s, if you were in a rock band, it was considered almost kind of like, you know, an outlaw thing to do. Parents were pissed off. It wasn't considered respectable. It was kind of like joining the circus. Now it's a respectable career choice. You know, kids get synthesizers and guitars for their 15th birthdays. Do you think that still kids feel like that they just go to these concerts and look on that stage and want to be there the way that they used to? Or you think they're kind of numbed into just watching it on TV and it's like any other?
No, I know that they still want to be there. And the controversy is still not stopped. You're right when you say that a parent, okay, instead of having my son take up or my daughter take up playing piano, besides piano, it'll be keyboards, synthesizers, organs, you know, with 8 racks pretty soon and midis and all kind of stuff like that. And then that's maybe the respectable part of it, maybe. But just the other day there was a report on, I believe it was with Geraldo Rivera, and he did the, you know, the ladies are still marching against the, you know, the crews and the lyrics, and, you know, they're still marching against our song, Never Say Goodbye, you know, just because of reference of a 6-pack, and, you know, it just, and I don't think that has, I mean, I look at it and I go, geez, years ago I laughed at it, and that was with then, you know, the Rolling Stones when they were young and the Beatles and stuff like that. I laughed at it when they went, oh no, go, no, no. And then before that, it was Elvis Presley, and they did the same thing.
From the dead Kennedys, what's his name? The Joe Biafra has to go to jail, to court today, because he was arrested on an obscenity charge. And,
Well, I don't know what the obscenity charge was that he.
Whatever. I mean.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he got
No,
up
I
on
do know
stage
it's-
and was real lewd or
No,
something.
think
I
it's
mean,
just
I don't know.
lyrics. I think it's lyrics. But the thing is, I mean, I had a friend also who was vinyl always.
I mean, I don't.
Don't you think it could get bad? We laugh at it because they were burning records in the 50s, but still.
I just don't see how everything could culminate into blaming one thing.
No, but do you think it would ever make you stop and think twice when you went into a studio and not record a certain line? Because
We never
Like,
record
like,
any
rec-
particular lines that we think that are just obscene, that our parents wouldn't like it.
But never mind
or-
what you've seen, what
or-
about something that someone's going to interpret as.
Well, I can't deal with what everybody's going to interpret it as.
That's what they do, no?
Well, that's what they do, but Jesus. I mean, that is not, I can't stop to worry about that. I'm sorry. I'm not here to, somebody's telling me something. I'm not going to spend all my, hours trying to figure out what he meant. And if I say something in a record that, that has no intent or anything like that, and somebody wants to decide that, well, he read this meaning into it, I hold myself totally non-responsible for that.
Okay, what if they arrest you for it? Or what if they won't carry the record somewhere because of it?
Well, I guess I would have to deal with that when the time came. I mean, if they arrested me, I would surely have all my lawyers in the world, telling these people that they got to be crazy.
Well, it is,
I mean, if somebody jumps off to the cliff, are you going to jump off the cliff after him?
yeah, what about these people like this? The guys sued Ozzy
Well, what
Osbourne
about
because
him?
his son committed suicide.
I
It's
think these
insane,
people are
no?
crazy. I mean, it's the
Of course
same
they're
old thing.
crazy.
If somebody jumps, we open this window here and I jump out, are you going to come jump out after me? It don't seem that funny to me.
It's not funny. It's
See,
sick. It's
but
very
it's
scary.
sick
I
if
think
people
it's
that do
scary.
it, but the logical part of it
fact that Ozzy Osbourne
does
didn't
not
have to
seem
pay, and-
that, or something happened, and I can't think that does. I mean, I wouldn't want stuff in our songs that are honestly like obscene that I would blush, and I'm not going to blush about that much. But like if my mom is there, if I'm going to blush, or if I had kids. And if they were old enough to know what that was, and then they're going to blush. Maybe we're going to talk about oral sodomy over here or some bullshit like that. I'm not going to that's not my cup of tea, and I don't ever think that we'll probably use it in any kind of records, But if you're talking
But
about,
don't you think somebody should have a right to if he wanted to?
if he wants to, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
I don't care. See, that's true. If he wants to, go ahead. I'm not buying his records.
That's
I
the
mean-
other thing. They don't have to buy it, and they can turn the
Right.
channel
I
if they
mean,
don't
you
like
talked
it.
about the dead Kennedys before. I mean, I happen to think that that's one of the most in poor taste of names of a band that there is. Nothing against the guys or anything like that. I just think that that's in poor taste.
Yeah, but then, as you said, you don't have to buy the record.
I don't have to buy the
You can
record.
turn the channel if they come.
Absolutely.
I know. Anyway, I didn't want to.
Nobody's, when it comes to the point where somebody makes me watch it and stuff like that, well, then I'm complaining. But if it's my own choice to watch what I want to watch, and if I want to turn it on and watch it, and I can go like this, I don't answer my phone all the time. You know why? Because it's my phone. It was put there for my convenience. If it rings and I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't pick it up.
You should get a machine so you can screen.
I do
it.
have a machine.
Oh, okay.
But-
Now, how much has your life changed with all of this stuff? What's the best thing about it?
Well, I've made more money.
That's the most refreshing answer. Everybody always says, we have a chance to play more, we have a chance to make the music, blah, blah, blah. Why doesn't anyone ever admit that they like having the money?
I don't know.
It's great.
I think it's pretty cool.
What have you done with the money?
I haven't done anything yet, but that's
But
the only
you know
trouble.
it's there.
They tell me it's there.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen
I
it.
don't think you ever see this money anyway, do you? It's always just kind of paper.
It's always paper, yeah. I mean, nobody ever really like comes over your house, with
With
one of those
cash.
big, bank cards or something that says, well, do me a favor, Al, come on out, check your money out, all right? All right, let me go in the back there, check it out. Hey, look at this green stuff. You sit in there, you throw some money up around, you go, okay, Joe, take it back to a good place. All right, great, I'm glad I saw my money. You know what I mean? It's like not like that. You know what the thing about when you say more money, it's a refreshing, I think, to know that I'm independent enough. Like, I used to worry to death if, like, I could be in the middle of someplace, supposing. And this is only a little garbage. I mean, I could be in the middle of someplace and say, get a flat tire, and I don't have a spare, and what am I going to do? And I remember this happening to me, like, at working jobs and stuff. Like, I went to the Holland Tunnel one time, and the universals went on my car. I had a 62 hot rod Chevy, right? The universals went, the guy had to come in, people are...
What's the universe? I don't know.
Universals, they just, it's no big deal on a thing, but if once they go, your car, the motor just runs and it doesn't turn, it doesn't go from the transmission into the back, but that's besides the point. That they pushed me out to a lot of embarrassment and everything like that, and I had to take a day off from work the next day, and I had to pay for the guy to tow it, and I had to pay to get the car fixed, and with the day off from work, and it really hurt me financially. I mean, it was really, it was a bad experience, and it hurt me financially. And this is probably nothing in the term of life. You know what I mean? Somebody's really probably got out there some problems or something. Like, this is the biggest problem I ever had. Jesus Christ, hey, I'm happy. But that's not what I'm saying. The thing is, now I have the independence that if that happens, or if it happens to somebody, my friend, or to my family, my mom, or something like that, I can say, put the car over there, lock the door, call up either a limo guy, or call up the taxi, call up this, Get in there first, make sure you get home, call up somebody to tow the car away, have it done. Don't sit there, wait to get yourself killed because you're on the side of the highway and somebody will run into you. You know, it's these little things that I like that idea. You know, I'm very more independent with myself and with my family, and it makes me feel good.
What about the biggest things? You bought anything?
No.
No houses?
No houses.
Cars?
Nope. No cars.
Planes?
I own nothing.
Do you want to keep it that way?
At this particular moment, probably until I get off the road. I had a lot of cars. I used to collect cars. I had a 48 Cadillac, which was in our In and Out of Love video. And I had a 64 T-Bird and a 69 Corvette, a 78 Datsun 280Z. I had a BSA. I had a Triumph. I had a Harley.
All
I
at
had
the
a
same time?
Yamaha. Yeah. I've had a
How'd you
MGA.
find this if you had no money?
It wasn't. I didn't say I always didn't have any money.
Oh.
When I played in clubs, remember I was one of the more successful clubs that there was at that particular time. Well, at one point, you know, at the heyday, which was about a year and a half of playing, that was the heyday of the band. I would make $1,000 a week, and at that time, I was pretty good money.
Yeah.
So that's how I got those
I
things.
see. Right. So you don't own any houses or anything? You rent?
Nope.
Where do you live?
Actually no. I have a house in Perth Amboy that we've had for years. Actually, my parents bought it, and then my father passed away some years ago, and I just sort of took it over from my mom, and my mom lives there.
So, but you're not even at home, so I mean, you can't tell.
Sure, I'm not at home,
What do you
so
think you're going to do in November or October? Or
well,
whatever?
in November or something like that, I'm probably gonna buy a car or lease a car, something. I need something to get up in the
To
morning.
live in? I mean, oh, you're
No,
gonna
not to live in there. I can always live in Amboy with my mom.
It's not weird living with your mother? At this
Nah,
age?
not at all.
After being all around the world with this band and everything, no?
No, my mom is one of the coolest ladies around.
Oh,
She takes all my attitudes towards things, and it's not like your mom. I'm an adult already. My mom treats me as an adult. I can do anything I want in my home.
Do you think there's kind of like all various age differences in this band, and you're a little older than some of the other guys and so forth. Do you think that because of that you've sort of maybe compensated for that and been wilder? Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's part of the reason why maybe you were wilder, or you're just like that? I'm not saying it's a conscious thing. But
Yeah,
I'm just
no, I don't think so.
Do you think that you have a different perspective on things than they do? Maybe because you were around more,
They
or they were around
enough, and they lived my perspectives through me, and now they're living them too. And now we live them even 20, 30, 100-fold than I even lived them. So they're not new.
When you were playing all those clubs and things and doing that sort of whole circuit, did you think that you'd be doing that for a long time? Did you dream of being sort of in a hit band?
Oh, I always dreamt I was going to be a rock and roll star.
But like this kind of rock and roll star?
This big?
Yeah.
No.
What was the biggest you could think?
Well, I mean, I was still thinking big,
How big?
but we maybe sell, double platinum or something like that. More like maybe Aerosmith or I don't know, something like I mean, big.
Yeah.
But this is like phenomenally big. You go from 8 million in the United States, and then you look the next one on the chart is like 3 million or 2 million or something. There's a big jump there.
Does it scare you?
Nah.
I mean, do you feel like you have to top it?
Nah.
Or at least reach it again?
I-
I mean, what's next? Like, if the next record sells 4 million, is that going to be considered?
Oh yeah, I'm pissed
disappointing?
off. I'm leaving home. That's it. I'm gonna go buy an island and kill myself or something.
I mean, what are your expectations now? What's next for the band, basically?
You see, Richie and Johnny are so full of songs and stuff that are just jumping out of them. I mean, literally jumping out of them. That I'm not worried at all about what our new album will be like. Now, of course, I can't say how the public will accept that, or if, all of a sudden Bon Jovi will become a bad word or something, or I don't know, you know what I mean? I'm not sure about that. I can't see the future.
Hi, I'm Lisa Robinson, and on behalf of Bon Jovi, I'd like to welcome you here today. I just want to thank a few people for coming, Doc McGee and Steve Pritchett from McGee Entertainment, Dick Asher and Bob Jameson from Polygram Records, and Bob Meyerowitz and Peter Kauf from DIR Broadcasting. I just briefly want to say that, as you can see from the press material, Bon Jovi has performed 135 sold-out concerts in the U.S. in the past year, 225 concerts altogether, and 30 more to go, and this is in 13 countries. Their astounding success has continued with both the #1 album, #1 single. They set attendance records at all of their concerts, merchandising records, and Slippery When Wet has sold over 8 million records in the United States alone, and it's approaching 11 million worldwide. They're about to take off for a date in England and then concerts in Australia and Japan. And because they really haven't had a chance to talk to the press in the past few months, particularly during this time when they sold out 6 dates in the New York area, they wanted to have a chance to see you and speak with you today, and also to thank their fans through you. So they're going to come in a minute, and what we'd like to do is give you a chance to take photos. The band will stand here, and you can have a photo opportunity for a few minutes. And then, following that, we'd like to ask the photographers if they don't mind to step back and allow the press a chance to talk to the band and just hold the flash cameras and everything during the actual press conference so that the press gets a chance to talk to them. And thank you all very much for cooperating.
Tico.
Tico has something he wants to say before we actually officially get started. So we'll have some opening remarks from Tico.
Bueno, buenos días, todo el mundo aquí de Nueva York. Muchas gracias por venir este día estar con nosotros. Bon Jovi y yo. No, muchas gracias por venir y vamos a tener un party esta noche cuando acabamos aquí. Gracias.
Okay. Does somebody want to start by asking a question? Yes? Okay. Wait, hold on 1 second, because I think we have these revolving microphones, these roving microphones, and we can hear your question.
John, hi, I'm Lisa Glassberg from WPLJ. How you doing? Listen, are you engaged? That's the hot rumor.
Rumors.
No, no está engagado.
We'd like to hear from John, please.
This is the way I look at it. Marriage is an institution, and I'm much too young to go to an institution. Next question.
How's your voice? It sounds a little hoarse.
My voice is gone. 225 shows, it's over.
I got it right here.
It'll be fine next week. Tuesday. That's 4 questions.
Okay, somebody else have a
No,
question?
I'm not engaged.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, cheating on us, huh?
Hi, Lisa Fantino with the music paper. John, what's the story with On the Edge of a Broken Heart, and is the rumor true that you wrote it for John Waite and he turned it down?
We gave it to John when we wrote it, and was that what we got the demo of that he did?
I don't think so.
No, that was Rage of Angels. We did write it, and initially it was for us, and then we gave it to Wade, figuring that it had a baby style to it, and it never made our album, and it sort of sat in the can, and the folks at Polygram were real anxious to try to use it, and I think they got it on this soundtrack now.
Somebody else?
John, are you going to change the set at all for Europe or Japan, or the same set as here?
Diego?
Bueno, no. Yeah, we're keeping the same set. Is that the question?
The question was whether you were going to change the set for Europe and Japan or keep the same set.
Oh yeah, we'll change it. Musically, we change it. I think visually, we'll change it. No, it's a different.
No,
it's a
it'll have to be
environment.
different. Europe and Japan are two different animals. And Australia, we're going there for the first time, so we're going to see what they want. But we've been to Europe 4 times, and Japan, this will be our 4th time, and it'll be much different.
We want
again.
to take the old one.
No, it's too heavy to put in your suitcase. There's a limit.
That's right.
Somebody else? Back there?
Pat St. John from Power 95. I was wondering if you've been recording all your shows, and are there any plans for a live album?
We've been recording a bunch of the shows, actually.
No
There's
tango.
not really no plans
Yo
for a
no
live album.
tango, no
Usually
live
videotape every show
album.
and take a good look at it. You know,
In
see
the-
after what's
in the
going on.
near future.
And to review, and we always try to better the shows all the time. So we always take a good look at the videos.
Tell them that in Spanish.
Or in Spanish.
No.
Can somebody bring him a mic so that we can hear the question?
I was just looking at the New York Times review of the Madison Square Garden date the other night, and it's a very negative opening line. If Bon Jovi has an original turn of phrase or an original tune, the band didn't show it Monday at Madison Square Garden. Do you guys read your own reviews? And if you do, what do you think when you read stuff like this?
Let's kill a guy.
We're from New Jersey.
Yeah, we're from New Jersey.
You know that Jersey attitude? Yo, you're dead.
It's got to be my cousin Vito.
He has a couple comments on that.
What can you say? I mean, basically, you know, I probably can get shot for this. Critics are musicians that never made it. We get ripped up
Hey,
a
is this
lot,
a rough crowd?
but we get a lot of. There wasn't even one laugh on that.
I know. Smile.
Uh,
Cheer down, everybody. Yeah.
So it was the New York Times. You know, I don't think that anybody there was at the show.
Rock and roll.
Ask the kids.
How many
Rock and
kids
roll's
read the
for
New York
kids,
Times?
man. Critics ain't kids.
They used to be kids.
Used to be kids. At one point they were.
I'd like to know how many kids at Madison Square Garden get the Times.
I never.
None.
Have you read that? The
After I went to
thing
see
from the
Led
Times?
Zeppelin when I was a kid, man, I never read the review at the end of it, so I don't think it has
That's
any
because you
relevance.
can't read.
No, I don't know what you do. I mean, if you know, you read some bad
Oh
reviews,
no. What? There'd be no point.
He'd
I
be over
mean,
the first day.
Two
Sometimes
guys
the
see
best.
the same show. It's one that's great, one that's horrible. Hey, you
No, I can't read, can I?
Yeah.
Is there another question? Yes?
I've heard photographers complain that you require approval of all photographs taken at your shows. Is that true, and if so, why?
in case you got your finger up your nose or something, and you know they take that picture, you don't want it out.
There you go.
with a nose like this.
So that's basically it.
I haven't never had a chance to approve any photos, especially live ones.
Thumb through the magazines is proof.
Yeah. No, believe me, we've never even had a chance to approve our own press photos. We've left that all in
Good
the
hands.
record company's hands usually.
Why, did somebody tell you guys that you got to approve all of this shit that you're taking with us?
Just leave your film with us. We'll send it back.
We'll
That's right. We promise.
Yes, there's
Bon
the
Jovi
woman in the back
developing.
with the white blouse, right?
Hi, Robin Sagan, CBS Radio.
Why do you say radio twice?
The network's so nice they named it twice. I don't know, but that's what they call it. I wanted to know if you're going to continue to use the pizza parlor jury when you record your next album.
Pizza parlor jury. That's cool.
That's
That's the name of the album.
It's the pizza parlor.
Could you just explain that maybe for some people here that might not know what that is?
In Saraville, New Jersey, was a small recording studio that nobody knew existed. Right around the block from there was a local pizza parlor, milk store, and like maybe a dry cleaners or something. But the kids would hang out there, and we were right around the block rehearsing and writing all the material for this album. And finally, we went over there and invited them all back into the studio with us. And so there was 30 kids that really picked the material for this album, and songs like Never Say Goodbye, which we never released as a single, yet people liked, or Wild in the Streets, which is another fun live song, would have never made the album had it not been for the pizza pie jury. And
Probably.
I'll tell you, that was probably the smartest thing we ever did. I would think so, yeah, why not?
Now they get union scale, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now.
We the pizza pie jury. Not that record.
There was a newspaper, a magazine article a while ago, John, that you were tired of your long hair, that it, didn't signify what it used to signify. You're going to cut it all off. Are you
It's
gonna-
possible. You know, I mean, see, my dad cut hair for a living when I was a kid. So after you get your ass whooped, he'd cut your hair, which was like the worst thing in the world. So now you'll see my brothers and I all have long hair, basically because we're all older and bigger than he is, you know. No, so now, you know, I think we sort of got to that point where he said, you know, okay, and he just didn't have to cut our hair anymore. So it started to get long. You know, you see those old pictures of me playing the nightclubs. Well, when you're 16, 17 years old and hanging out in bars, I had short hair, you know. So now it's long, and maybe now I'm tired of it. I don't know yet.
Got a crew cut.
Yeah, after the tour.
The woman in the aisle.
Yeah. John, I'm Domenica Marchetti from the Home News. I would like to ask you just something for the local paper. Do you go back to Sayreville often, and do you play gigs there? And also, I heard you on an interview on the radio once in which you said that the choices living in Sayreville were either working at something like DuPont or going to Middlesex County College. Is that how you really feel that life there is?
Sayreville, New Jersey is a real, I want to use the right word. I mean, it's the most fabulous place that you could want to grow up in. It's a small town with a big town's feel, and it's close enough to Manhattan or to the shore that you could be either place. When you pull into Sayreville, New Jersey, there's a big billboard that we have that says, you know, Sayreville welcomes industry. So a lot of the town, you know, is industry. And the Hercules and DuPont plants are, you know, a big part of that. So, yeah, you know, you remember those things, but you remember that it was really a great place to grow up.
Question for Richie. Can you compare playing the Meadowlands to a place like Charlie's Uncle? Do you like playing both? You know, how are they different?
Yeah,
you
they
know?
were, you know.
Stage is bigger.
It has equal relevance, I think, believe it or not. Actually, when you get on a grander scale like we're doing now, to play to 20,000 people can be easier at times to playing to 5 people.
My baby.
I have to go.
Because it's like
I'm a doctor.
when they're 2 feet away from you and you have this much room and you're magnified, you know. And then when you're playing to a mass audience, it's a different thing. So it's I think it's actually harder to play to a small audience in a smaller place. But I like playing in arenas a little bit better.
All the way in the back, I think, is that Lou on the line?
Yeah, John and Richie, please.
Lou, what's happening?
Hey, congratulations.
Lou. How are you?
John, some observers have compared using John Lennon's Revolution to sell Nike sneakers to perhaps using the Ave Maria to sell deodorant, okay? John is not here to say if he wants to be a shoe salesman or not. Richie Sambora, Jon BOn Jovi, any feelings to using Revolution to sell sneakers?
I think I understand your question, and I don't dig it.
Tico, get it too.
No.
I don't think that's right myself. So. I think I understand what you're trying to say, though.
Question over here.
Jason, that's Knowledger. This is for the group.
Sounds like my monitors.
Yes, sound check.
You've been called New Jersey's greatest export since Bruce Springsteen, and your concerts and records are coming close to eclipsing the sales. Is there any conscious competition between your group and Springsteen? Are you vying for the appeal of Jersey, or is there any significance to the fact that you're both from New Jersey and you're both on a grand scale worldwide?
Well, I think my attitude has been when you grew up there, if you didn't like Bruce, your taxes were going up. And, you know, now I would never consider us as competition or vying for any sort of spotlight. We're a lot different. You know, I think we're much different.
Jersey vibe.
We're young.
It's about living in Jersey.
Yeah, and Jersey kind of just
Jersey's Jersey. Yeah, everybody I think sort of helps out each other and pushes for each other. You know, and that is the one great thing about it.
Over here.
Hi, Wendy Lehman, WNYW. You're from Jersey. How do you feel about the Stone Pony being closed? And are you going to do anything to help prevent it?
Yeah, I still had to pay for a beer there about 2 months ago. Yeah, and you get proof too. It is an institution. You know, it's a shame that they're ripping it down. I hope that whoever's, you know, really in charge of doing it is doing it not for reasons of just to make a quick buck, but because he wants to help rebuild the city.
Yeah, I got a feeling there's another pony coming along the way.
Yeah, I'm sure
There's probably gonna be something happening.
But I hope he made a quick buck anyway.
What the hell?
Right, as long as it's going.
Yeah, as long as it's going, a little cash.
This is for each of you in a different way. You've had a whole year to live this grand lifestyle now. What's the best and worst part of it?
Should we start with Tico? Do you
I
want
think
to
Tico
go
can
right
answer
down
it for all of us.
See. I don't know.
So
The worst is that it's over here in the United States. The best is that we're still going on and playing some more places around the world. I don't know, it's been fun. You know, we happen to love playing. We like doing this stuff too.
This is pretty wild.
On a personal level, what can you do now with this success? And now that you have the success, what can't you do anymore?
Well, we're going to continue touring, so for us, it's just, we're just keep working.
The best part, I think, is, you know, the idea that if we want to play, we can play. And if, you know, I mean, we weren't the best opening act to have on your bill kind of an attitude, you know? And so now if I want to do a Christmas song in August, I could do it, you know, or a cappella stuff, or just pull out anything out of the hat like we did that last night in Nassau. They were saying, get off the stage. I thought it was a Grateful Dead concert already. People were saying, go home. And I don't want to go home, you know? I mean, we pulled out all the stops because we just love to play so much, you know? It's exciting.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think the best part of it is the music, and the worst part of it's going home, man. Absolutely.
I don't know, the best part was all you people taking pictures. The worst part is I had to get up this morning early to get here.
But Al, you look good, Al.
But you
Against the
look
wall, there's someone who's been wanting to ask a question, if you can get to her. Thanks.
I'm Sarah Warren from Cable News Network, and since America is commemorating the 10th anniversary of the death of Elvis this week, can you, Jon, comment about how Elvis may have influenced your work?
Elvis, I think, probably influenced everybody's works. We've been to Graceland a bunch of times, you know, and of course, yeah, being Aunt Bunny. You know, I mean, it's a shame that Elvis became a prisoner of rock and roll, you know, and couldn't leave those gates, and that's something to be aware of. And on a good note, Elvis was a great person, and you know, from what I've read, you know, and he really cared about people, and that's another good thing for us all to learn from. Graceland's pretty cool. I mean, it was in the middle of a main drag somewhere, you know. I mean, you didn't have much privacy. Maybe when they built it.
Yeah, it's probably in the woods.
They sell dirt and pieces of
They
fence.
sell his dirt and his grass and.
Fence, they sell everything.
It's a little.
Yeah, that's a little weird, man.
The best taste in the world when it came to decorating.
Elvis had good taste in furniture.
Nonetheless, Elvis could have used a interior decorator.
Good taste in women, but I don't know.
Yeah, the furniture was not
The
hip.
green pom-poms.
Elvis's taste in women was a lot better than his taste in
Yeah, now there's a quote for you.
The jungle one.
The jungle room. Elvis picked his furniture out all by
In
himself.
5 minutes. In 5 minutes. I spent 30 minutes and got some good shit.
We're taking pictures. I've been there going, no. Stuff is going to lighten up or something.
Don't take pictures of that yellow bar, man.
Steve Jones, ABC Radio. I just wanted to ask you, given your extensive...
I'm hearing voices. I don't
I know,
see.
where are you?
I'm
Oh, okay.
very tall, he's very short, he's on his knees. But given the experience you've had over the last few years touring, has the AIDS scare changed the aggressiveness of female or male groupies on the road? I mean it seriously, especially in the last year. Have you noticed any difference?
Oh, it's serious here. You want the serious?
I don't think anybody wants to be serious on this.
You don't have to be serious. It's all right. You don't have to be too serious.
I haven't noticed anything. Any different. No.
Those are those candies you take to lose weight, I think, right? Those candies you take to lose weight?
I think yeah.
AIDS, yeah.
Kool-Aid,
bad
hearing
diet
aids.
plan.
Well, I mean, like the Beastie Boys have in their riders, you know, they have a safe condom rider, safe sex rider. They have to have condoms in the back of their dressing rooms. Do you guys have anything like that?
The Beastie Boys have influenced a lot of what I do too. You know what I mean?
The one for them today, I don't know. Some of my decisions be way different.
Yeah.
How did they get them out of the pack?
That'd be great.
No, we like a deli tray. That's about it. For us. It works.
Do you want anybody else to touch your condoms, man? I'll bring my own. Okay?
A nice sandwich.
Who knows
is
what
enough.
they're doing
It's
over
enough
there
pressure.
beforehand.
Can you tell me what is the the significance of Bon Jovi. Where does the name stem from? And also, are each of you from Saraville, New Jersey?
We grew up together.
No, we're all from Middlesex County.
Exit 10.
Yeah, exit 11. You know what I mean? It's we're all from the same area. What else? The name Bon Jovi
It was
is
mine, I gave it to him.
yes.
Is that Roman? I can't. Yeah, Roman.
Hi, Roman Kozak from Words and Music and the Hamptons Magazine and a couple of other places. I have two quick questions. You had scheduled 2 shows for the Nassau Coliseum, but apparently one got blown out. What happened there?
Well, basically, we just decided not to book another one. You know, I think the attitude was, let's go to Europe. And Nassau was a very special place for us because when we were down south, we read about the riots that had happened there. I had told the kids during the first show there that I wanted to do something really special for them. And we hoped that we gave them a real special show that night. Well, we went back and decided, let's just do one show here, end the tour here. And we recorded it and filmed it for possible live tracks and or video. And we're a part of an album that'll be out in Christmas. It's for the Special Olympics for retarded kids. And we filmed a video for them, and we cut the track and mixed it last night. So it's all done, you know. And Nassau and those kids can feel that they were the reason for it. It's called I'm Your Backdoor Santa.
And I like when you call me that.
In a reply to a previous question, I don't know which one of you replied, you said, in terms of the New York Times, I wonder how many of our audience reads the New York Times. I mean, do you consider these kids illiterate? I mean, do you consider your audience?
Oh, no, look, was that a loaded question or what?
That's a loaded question, for sure.
That's good. You remind me of the guy that came and knocked on my door.
Kids we know don't subscribe to it. That's all we meant.
I think Richie answered the question. We never read the paper after a show.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't say that the kids never read the paper. I said that when I was a kid, I didn't read the paper. I had a good time at the show, and that's what counted.
And the best.
It's a little different, man.
No. It's just a
That's
little
all.
too serious.
The music
kids go there to have a good time.
Right, not to read about it the next day. They lived it, man. They were there. Thanks, Roman.
Take a couple more questions because we
Friends,
don't have that much more time. Yeah, right in here, that girl with the pink shirt.
John, I heard you were doing some work with Cher. Is that true? And also, are you working with any other artists right now?
Richie and I produced 2 tracks on the forthcoming Cher album. One we wrote, one is a remake of Bang Bang, the Sonny Cher song. And we got a hold of Sonny because we rewrote the song and had him write 2 extra lines instead of me, you know, using lyrics that I would write. So Sonny was pretty happy about it too, which worked out real well. We have the first Loverboy single. Richie and I wrote that. Ted Nugent we're working with and wrote his apparent first single. Bonnie Tyler, Belinda Carlisle. There's quite a few that'll be coming out in the near future.
Okay, in the aisle here with the purple.
Pamela Bloom from the Philadelphia Choir and musician. When you went to Japan, did you meet any Japanese rock musicians and or listen to their music? And what does it feel like to sing to an audience when maybe obviously not all of them are understanding English? Or is there something that you think you're communicating that's going across anyway?
One of the bands we met was Loudness, which they would say Roudness. And but they're a very polite and very great audience. The funniest part is that at the end of the song they sit down and they're ready for the next. And I'm not sure if they do write the lyrics in their own language, and American is a kind of an important language, the English language there. So most of them do know it.
They learn it in school.
They learn English phonetically too. They sing the songs too.
They sing every word.
They had to change the
Pretty
name
amazing.
of the record too.
Can't get the time of day, but they'll sing.
Which is
sing the crap out of your songs.
What's the name of the album?
Oh yeah, the album's not called Slippery When Wet in Japan, although it says it on the cover, because there's no translation for the word slippery. And so the album, although it has the girl with the t-shirt, and only because that slipped out early, the album's called Wild in the Streets. They can't read it, so it doesn't make any mix me. You know,
They can't say slippery. Slippery.
Slippery Len Let. So it's wild in the streets. Yeah.
Florida that wanted to use one of your songs for their graduation. Did you do anything to help them use that?
We couldn't go down to that school. We read it in the paper. We sent them some, I guess, fun gifts. We had an airplane fly over the high school at graduation with a banner on the back congratulating the class of '87. Again, it's those kids that make us go out there, and you don't care if your voice is shot. It's not shot when I get on stage, because it's that kind of adrenaline, that those little newspaper articles that make it all work.
After 200 or so dates, I'm sure it's all sort of a blur, but are there any venues or cities that stand out as just outstanding, and when you look back on the tour, those are the ones that you'll remember?
Oh, yeah.
Probably the first date when we came back in, what was that, Worcester, with the Centrum, right?
Yeah, that was a great one.
That was an amazing show. It was our first American show, and our first headlining show in America, and it just was an amazing thing. The kids blew the roof off. It was great.
There's certain shows you remember. New Year's Eve at the Meadowlands, the first New Year's Eve show they'd ever had there, was really a great feeling to be able to do something for the first time, but also to do it at home.
Yeah, there's been a lot of firsts for us this year, and it's all been damn exciting.
The 3 shows this year at Madison Square Garden were really
they were great.
popular shows too. We had a good time there.
How long a break do you guys think you're going to need before you start thinking about the next album when you come back from Japan?
In typical fashion, probably about 2 weeks.
2 maybe 3 years, as they say in New Jersey.
Yeah, 2 maybe 3 weeks.
Hard to say.
When you come off an album as big as this one, there has to be some kind of pressure when you go back in the studio, or maybe there's not. How do you approach your next album? Do you throw everything out of your minds, or
Drink heavy and there's no pressure.
There you go.
Anything else?
Well, I don't know. We've been writing a little bit. What we've come up with so far, I remember playing at a couple of sound checks, and the thing that excited me most was that the road crew would stop what they were doing and say, "Who's that song by?" And we said, "Oh, it's a new one." Or to hear that kind of reaction, from the people that work with you, that the last thing they want to do is hear your songs again, and they hear something new and they get, "Oh my God, that's great, it's exciting." So maybe we're onto something. We don't know. I think as writers, we've really just come into our own. I'm not afraid of next year.
Yeah, I think there's a large potential for growth. Just like when you do as many dates as we have, and you've been to all the countries and you've seen all the stuff, you get educated kind of, so you grow. And there's a lot of things that'll come into our writing, I think, from our touring experience and just seeing the world and talking to kids and all that kind of stuff. So I think that the album will grow next year, and I think it'll be a positive step.
Is there anything from the tour that's directly inspired any new work for the album?
This record?
For the new album, it's hard to say. There's really not enough down on paper yet, but what'll happen is it sort of stores up, and then when we relax, maybe in December, I think the tour's over October 17th. November 1st, I plan to come home again, and maybe by December we'll start writing, but it gives you a month to sort of filter through ideas.
Okay, we'll take 2 more questions. Lou?
Another shot, Jon. I've been privileged enough to watch you guys progress and evolve over a period of years, even in '83 when She's a Little Runaway on the Apple record with Aldo Nova. And I hope I can articulate the thought I'm trying to convey properly, but you had a lovely lady that you were going out with around that period, around 1983, and then for whatever the reasons you didn't go with that lady anymore, and then right around about a year ago or 6 months ago, you picked the relationship up again of someone who knew you before you quote-unquote achieved this fame and success and notoriety. Would you say that you've come full circle with the publicity trip and, the publicity, your press clippings, I'm great, and that's helped you stay maybe anchored to reality a little bit more?
I hope that people believe in that, we are very much the same guys we were when, I met you in 1983. You were the guy in Circus Magazine, and we went, whoa, wow, that was a big deal. I hope to think that you know, I mean, I shout across the room because I'm still excited to see the guy from Circus Magazine, you know. We're just very much, I hope and believe, the same 5 guys from, you know, Jersey that we've always been.
And how long have you been in love with Lassie?
Is there one last question, anybody? Have anything? Yeah.
Ralph.
Okay, that's it.
It says never say goodbye.
Ralphie,
Inspired
baby.
Controversy across the U.S. What controversy was that?
I think the controversy was about, there's a couple lines like, you lost
yeah.
more than that in my back seat.
Talking about car keys.
And it's something I think that, you know, we all go through in high school. You kind of make a little whoopee in the back seat or something like that, and you drive around with a 6-pack of beer or something. I don't know if we were condoning that or whatever, but it was something that I think people experienced and people related to. But not to say it was right or wrong or anything like that, but it was rebellious and young kind of thing.
Okay.
Terrible.
Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tico, Dave, John, Richie, and Alec.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thanks for coming here today.
Coming.